Chapter 3365. Of course, Qin Yun wants to catch a divine sun descendant to take a look. If this kind of monster is alone, it is relatively easy to catch. If it is a group, it will be very difficult to catch. However, Qin Yun is somewhat unable to let go. His plan is to take all the Divine Universe Golden Stones in the other big cities of Huoling Empire in the shortest time possible. Especially in this kind of situation, he must be fast or else others will beat him to it. Now that the Divine Sun descendants and the Cosmos God race have joined forces, they are gradually breaking away from the control of the Cosmos Law Spirit and becoming especially powerful. They also need a large amount of resources, so they will definitely make a move against the new human camp. Qin Yun hesitated again and again, then contacted Xiao Yuemei and asked Ling Yun'er to come out and help. Ling Yun'er can also use supergravity, but her area is not as big as Qin Yun's. Yuemei, I need to leave for a while. I should be able to come back soon. There is no problem leaving this place to you, right? Qin Yun also believes in Xiao Yuemei's ability. Of course there is no problem. Brother, because you are here, I cannot display my true power. Xiao Yuemei said with smile. Brother, don't worry and go do other things. Qin Yun let the ancient beasts follow Xiao Yuemei and others, and also let Miller come out. Zi Qingqing and Shui Tianzi also follow Miller. This will make Miller feel a lot more at ease. After all, this is the first time Miller has left Qin Yun in many days. She feels somewhat uneasy in her heart. Miller only needs to cooperate with Xiao Yuemei and Ling Yun'er inside the Divine Inscription Mountain. The Divine Inscription Mountain is very safe, its defense is extremely strong, and there are also ancient beasts overseeing it. Qin Yun felt a lot more at ease. Heavenly Law Spirit, I will go help you immediately. But I have a condition. Promise me first. Qin Yun contacted the Heavenly Law Spirit with the magic mirror. What condition? The Heavenly Law Spirit knew it would be like this. I will help you capture a divine sun descendant. You also have to help me mine. Qin Yun said. I see that you have many strong bald experts under you. They all seem to be very energetic. It is a pity if they don't go mining. The Heavenly Law Spirit cursed a few times in his heart, but he can only agree. This is a very good opportunity. If he misses this time, he doesn't know when he will be able to capture this kind of divine sun descendant. All right, I promise you. The Heavenly Law Spirit agreed to Qin Yun's conditions. In his opinion, helping Qin Yun go to those large cities to plunder Divine Universe Goldstones was a very easy matter. Qin Yun took out the Heavenly Leaping Shuttle. After determining the direction, he immediately used a spatial shuttle to rush over. Can't you beat that guy? Qin Yun asked. Of course I can beat him, but with my strength, I can't stop him. As you know, the souls of the descendants of the Divine Sun are very strong, especially now that their bodies have also undergone a transformation, which makes them even stronger. If they want to escape, I can't stop them at all. The Heavenly Law Spirit said. The fact that he was able to deal with the descendant of the Divine Sun while contacting Qin Yun at the same time meant that he was at ease. It was just that he wasn't completely confident in capturing the descendant. The Heavenly Law Spirit was very far away from the center of Huoling Emperor City, but he was still targeted by a descendant of the Divine Sun. This descendant of the Divine Sun was definitely not an ordinary one, and should be a spy. Therefore, the Heavenly Law Spirit did not have absolute confidence in taking down this descendant of the Divine Sun. He was afraid that after he displayed his powerful strength, the other party would quickly escape. Right now, the Heavenly Law Spirit was suppressing his own strength, making the other party feel that he was very weak. He pretended to be having a hard time resisting and slowly distanced himself from the center of Huoling Emperor City, not letting the group of descendants of the Divine Sun discover him. Qin Yun could use the magic mirror in the hands of the Heavenly Law Spirit to determine his location and then chase after him. Their speed is the fastest. I didn't pay attention for a moment and they ran so far away. After Qin Yun's heavenly leaping shuttle stopped, he did not find the heavenly law FA spirit. However, he could sense the remnant weak aura outside. That aura was not the heavenly law FA spirits but the descendant of the divine sun. During this process, the heavenly law FA spirit did not leak any aura. It could be seen that his control over his power was extremely brilliant. Qin Yun chased after him a few times and finally saw the heavenly law FA spirit. His speed was just enough for the descendant of the divine sun to catch up and gradually lure him away. If this descendant of the divine sun is a spy, he would definitely be able to tell that the heavenly law FA spirit is deliberately luring him away. However, he still did not ask for help. Could it be that he is too conceited? Qin Yun was observing, then he took out the magic mirror and contacted the heavenly law FA spirit. I'm already here. There's only one opponent. He should know your intentions. Be careful. He knows my origin. The reason why he didn't contact the other descendants of the divine sun is because he wants to swallow me for himself. In their eyes, I am a great tonic. The heavenly law FA spirit urged Qin Yun, hurry up and make your move. How should I cooperate with you? Qin Yun asked. Use your strongest power to attack him. I will prevent him from escaping. I have a unique technique to capture him. I just need some time to prepare. The heavenly law FA spirit warned, you must be careful, that guy is at the space transformation realm. His strength has surpassed the peak of the divine space realm. Alright. Qin Yun left the heaven-leaping shuttle and took out the barbarian emperor's saber. Using his fastest speed, he condensed all the power in his body and charged towards the descendant of the divine sun. Then in an instant, he hacked down several hundred saber strikes. The power of Qin Yun's several hundred saber strikes covered a large area. Furthermore, it was accompanied by a gravitational force, causing the descendant of the divine sun to be unable to quickly move and dodge. The descendant of the divine sun knew that he couldn't dodge, so he used his fastest speed to release all the power in his body and condensed a shield around his body. Several saber strikes landed on the shield, causing loud explosions that shook the heaven and earth. Waves of energy surged up and down, accompanied by thunder and lightning roaring in all directions. The scene was extremely shocking. Tian Daozi is also secretly alarmed because Qin Yun is a bit stronger than he imagined. Moreover, he understands Qin Yun even more. Qin Yun is definitely hiding one or even 2 or 3 tricks. After all, I am at the origin realm. My body is strong and invincible. These space transformation realm experts are still too weak. Qin Yun is not afraid at all when facing a single space transformation realm descendant of the divine sun. The descendant of the divine sun immediately realized that he is not Qin Yun's match. While feeling shocked in his heart, he also calmed down. His body once again erupted with power and broke through Qin Yun's supergravity suppression. He wants to slip away. However, the heavenly law FA spirit's technique is already prepared. Several heavenly rune characters formed a large net that enveloped the descendant of the divine sun. It quickly wrapped him up, inside and outside, several layers. Alright. It's all thanks to your appearance that I managed to buy some time to form this net. The heavenly law FA spirit stored away the descendant of the divine sun, smiled at Qin Yun and said, Qin Yun, we finally meet. You are not as handsome as me. Damned Baldy, don't be so narcissistic. Qin Yun curled his lips and said, I helped you capture him successfully. When are you going to work in the fields and help me mine? Chapter 3366. The heavenly Tao Fa Ling was stunned. Although he, the heavenly Tao, had once been killed by someone and only his soul was left, he had still been the heavenly Tao that had once ruled over the 9 desolates in his previous life. Now, he was a powerhouse that had surpassed the divine space realm in this universe. In front of him, There was someone who treated him like a tool. To be honest, he did not reject being a tool. Back then, he was the heavenly Tao and he was just a tool. However, he hoped that he could become a decent tool. I can help you right now. The heavenly Tao Law Spirit could only smile and agree. After all, Qin Yun had helped him greatly. Qin Yun took out the Heaven Leaping Shuttle. You're still keeping this thing. The Heavenly Law Fa Spirit sighed. With your participation, I hope my progress will be faster. Qin Yun smiled and said, Heavenly Tao Law Spirit, when the time comes, don't hide anything. You must display your strongest strength and help me quickly dig out more Divine Universe Goldstones. In order to help the Heavenly Tao Law Spirit, Qin Yun had left behind a large group of people. Now that he was done helping the Heavenly Tao Law Spirit, he naturally wanted to use this tool ruthlessly. Definitely. The Heavenly Law Fa Spirit smiled and nodded. That guy you caught, if he finds out anything, you better share it with me. Qin Yun said, Divine Sun descendants are very difficult to deal with, especially now. They are also becoming stronger with the environment, making them even more difficult to deal with. Yes. The Heavenly Law Fa Spirit sighed. A descendant of the Sun God losing control is one of the few miscalculations of the universe's Fa spirits. The Heaven Leaping Shuttle was flying towards the location of the Divine Inscription Mountain to meet up with the main force. Although the speed of spatial travel was very fast, it would still take some time because the distance was very far. What is the use of the Divine Sun Blood Seed Crystal? Qin Yun said. Tian Daozi said that you need the Divine Sun Blood Seed Crystal very much. The Divine Sun Blood Crystal can strengthen the soul. The Divine Sun Blood Crystal can strengthen the body. The Natural Law Fa Spirit said, This is what I knew before, but now it seems that the Divine Sun Blood Crystal can make the soul stronger, and thus stimulate the physical body to become stronger, and can even cause the physical body to become stronger. Qin Yun was secretly delighted. His soul was relatively weak now and could not keep up with his body. Furthermore, his physical body also had a lot of potential that had yet to be unleashed. This Divine Sun Blood Seed Crystal seemed to be very suitable for him. However, the Divine Sun Blood Seed Crystal is very special. Its energy is drained very quickly. It's extremely difficult to replenish its energy. The Natural Law Fa Spirit said, I need to store some of the Divine Sun Blood Seed Crystal's energy to research on how to deal with the Divine Sun's descendants. Why would a Divine Sun descendant know how to use the Divine Sun Blood Seed Crystal? Qin Yun asked. It was revealed to the Cosmos God race by the Cosmos Law Spirit. After the Cosmos God race tried it, they discovered that after they fused, they could become so strong that they could surpass the control of the Cosmos Law Spirit. In addition, they found a very large piece of Divine Sun Blood Seed Crystal, so they secretly did this. Heavenly Law Spirit Tao. What's going on with those Dharma Spirit Sons of Heaven? Qin Yun recalled the Falling Son of Heaven he met in Hualing Imperial City. They seemed to be here for the Divine Sun Blood Seed Crystal. Originally, they were ordered to take away the Divine Sun Blood Seed Crystal, but they found out that the Divine Sun Blood Seed Crystal could make them stronger, so they did not take it away for the time being. Instead, they wanted to personally see if it was true. Heavenly Law Spirit Tao. One more question. Why do you know so much? Qin Yun looked at the Heavenly Tao Dharma Spirit. The Natural Law Spirit laughed and said, Because I am also a Dharma Spirit Son of Heaven now. Qin Yun frowned, but he did not immediately become vigilant. Although he was very unhappy with this incomparably handsome bald man, he knew that the bald man in front of him could be trusted. Aren't you going to ask me about the ancient desolate? The Natural Law Spirit laughed. How are my parents? Qin Yun was indeed very curious about the ancient desolate, but he was even more concerned about the safety of his parents. When I left, they were all fine. I spent a lot of effort to escape from the ancient desolate. The smile on the natural law spirit's face gradually disappeared. Escape? Qin Yun frowned again. Yes. Furthermore, it was the 9 Yang law spirit and the universe law spirit who joined hands to help me escape. The natural law spirit sighed. As for the ancient desolate, it should still be very stable. Qin Yun was stunned. What happened to the ancient desolate? The 9 Yang law spirit and the universe law spirit actually joined hands to bring out the natural law spirit. The ancient desolate has lost control? That place should be in charge of the 9 Yang law spirit, right? Qin Yun asked. The universe law spirit and the 9 Yang law spirit both want to transform into humans. After they transform into humans, they naturally can't operate the laws of the various worlds and spaces. However, even if they don't transform into humans, the ancient desolate is not something they can control. The natural law spirit said, "That place is a testing ground. There is a huge problem. It should be sealed now." Qin Yun is very worried about his parents. He has not seen them for many years, especially his mother. Don't worry, your parents will be fine. Father Heaven Extermination will take good care of your parents. The natural law spirit patted Qin Yun's shoulder. What exactly happened to the ancient desolate? Qin Yun asked. Let's put it this way, the descendants of the Divine Sun appeared in the ancient desolate and spread out. They are all very strong and they are out of control. As for why they appeared, the 9 Yang law spirit and the universe law spirit don't know. The natural law spirit shook its head. I came to the divine desolate to find a way to exterminate them. Otherwise, if the ancient desolate seal is forced, it will spread here and it will be dangerous. Qin Yun knew that the 9 Yang law spirit's so-called testing ground is very dangerous. He cursed in a low voice. How did this 9 Yang law spirit come up with such a terrifying thing? The natural law spirit chuckled. What is the purpose of the universe law spirit doing so many experiments? It is to create a powerful body so that they can transform into humans in the future. The 9 Yang law spirit is also doing all kinds of experiments, and in this testing ground of the ancient desolate, there are all kinds of monsters created by them. What do you think? Qin Yun is speechless. None of these law spirits are good things. Thank you very much for telling me all this. I will give you some divine sun blood seed crystals energy. How much I will give you depends on the results of your labor. We are here, go work. Qin Yun's heaven-leaping shuttle has already entered the divine mountain. After the natural law spirit came out, Qin Yun solemnly introduced him to everyone. After knowing that such a big shot was pulled by Qin Yun to work, everyone couldn't help but admire him. After all, this was a big shot who once dominated the order of the 9 Desolate. Although the 9 Desolate is no longer here, most of the people here have been taken care of by the heavenly tribulation created by the natural law spirit, especially Xiao Yume. The natural law spirit felt somewhat wronged, but he can't bear this kind of grievance alone. Therefore, he called the heavenly law altar. Tiandao Zi and the group of bald experts joined in and crazily looted the Fire Ling Empire's big cities. 10 days later, Barbarian Emperor returned. He did not return alone, he returned with a group of people. After returning, Barbarian Emperor found out what happened after he left through his trusted subordinate. He immediately flew into a rage. He is angry that Qin Yun took advantage of his absence to suppress their camp. He is angry that his subordinates actually betrayed him. There is indeed a barbarian king who defected to the universe god race's side and even betrayed the barbarian race's interests. This is something that barbarian emperor cannot tolerate. Chapter 3367. Qin Yun had already plundered nearly 100 cities in the Fire Ling Empire and obtained more than 5 trillion divine universe goldstones. Although it was a lot, Qin Yun still felt that it was insufficient. Even if all these divine universe goldstones were used to create the divine Yang bloodline, there would only be about 100 of them. Thankfully, goo beasts had earned a few trillion. When the time came, Qin Yun could sell the divine sun blood seed to him. The people that followed Qin Yun had more or less obtained quite a bit, but the one who obtained the most was still Qin Yun. In these past dozen days, everyone was also very tired. It could be said that they had desperately dug up divine universe goldstones. Tian Daozi felt terrible, because he couldn't take a single divine universe medal. This was an order from the heavenly Tao Law's magical spirit. The group of bald experts were also very unhappy. They didn't get anything, and every time they attacked the city, they were always the ones charging at the front, doing the hardest, most tiring, dirtiest, and most dangerous work, but they didn't get anything. After he was done, Qin Yun did not immediately discuss the matter of the divine sun blood seed crystal with the heavenly Tao magic spirit. Instead, he stayed in the nine sun sky raising pagoda with Xiao Xianqin. Xiao Yuanmei originally wanted to stay for a few more days, but Xiao Yuelan urged her to go back quickly, saying that if she didn't go back, she might be discovered. This time, Xiao Xianqin had brought a few dukes with her, and had gained quite a bit. Furthermore, this battle could also temper their team. Yu Yaoyao and the Nine Sons Kuanping did not return to the fifth Divine Sunday. Instead, they went directly to the heaven-splitting treasure ground and went home for a stroll. The Nine Sons Kuanping told her that she couldn't return to the fifth Divine Sunday. The descendants of the Divine Sun had already broken through the fifth Divine Sun. This news alarmed Qin Yun. The fifth Divine Sun was created by referencing the fourth Divine Sun, yet it failed to block the Divine Sun's descendant. Currently, out of the 8 myriad worlds' Divine Suns, 1, 2, 3, and 5 had all been breached by the descendants of the Divine Sun. This meant that there would be more and more descendants of the Divine Sun. When the barbarian emperor learned that Qin Yun robbed the Huoling Empire, although he was very angry, he did not do anything. He knew that if Qin Yun didn't snatch it, the Cosmos God race and the God Sun God descendant would definitely join hands to snatch it. Other than the Huoling Empire, more than 10 cities in the Great Blue Empire and the Great Hong Empire were also robbed. This was all done by the descendants of the Cosmos Gods and the God Sun God race. They even framed Qin Yun. Qin Yun is still the best. In a short span of 10 days, he has seized nearly 100 cities. The Cosmos God race and the descendants of the God Sun God race only seized 20 cities. Barbarian Emperor was in a secret room, looking at a huge map. The bloodthirsty barbarian king said solemnly, "We have 3 barbarian kings who have betrayed us. Each of them brought an army of 10 million to join the camps of the Cosmos God race and the God Sun God race. How should we deal with them? Let them be. This time, I've invited back a very powerful ally. Those traitors will regret this." Although this was what the barbarian emperor said, he was cursing those traitors in his heart. He knew that the all-heavens divine wilderness had undergone a huge change while he was away. For example, the monster created by the fusion of the divine sun descendant and the Cosmos God race was something he did not expect. Furthermore, the Dharma spirit son of heaven descended upon the divine wasteland and was killed. This God's desolate is truly unpredictable. If I wasn't careful, I would fall behind by so much. The barbarian emperor sighed. Inside the heavenly Tao altar, the heavenly Tao Dharma spirit smiled at Qin Yun. Qin Yun, without my help, you would need at least 20 days to seize so many cities. Don't worry, I'm a man of my word, Qin Yun said, and then took out the divine sun blood seed crystal. Seeing the divine sun blood seed crystal, the heavenly Tao Law spirit became very excited. He hastily took out a special power-storing pearl and began extracting the energy inside the divine sun blood seed crystal. Don't extract it all. Qin Yun took out Barbarian Emperor's saber and deliberately shouted fiercely, "If you extract all the energy, I will chop you to death." Heavenly Tao Law spirit chuckled and said, "Don't panic, I just want a bit of energy." Only Qin Yun and the heavenly Tao Law spirit are inside the secret room, this matter must be done in secret. The process of extracting energy from the divine sun blood seed crystal is very long and very slow. Qin Yun is very impatient. He took out the devil mirror and looked at it. He saw Xian Rujing, Star Deity, Lan Fengjin, and Hu Mei in a group. They are all sending all kind of pictures. They are fighting with each other. After looking at it for a while, he closed it. Then he opened Divine Moon Clan's group. There are also all kind of selfies and fighting with each other. Moreover, King Shuiyu is the leader. It is as if they have forgotten that the only man of Divine Moon Clan is in the group. Do they not see me as a man? Sending so many selfies, what a scandal! Qin Yun cursed in his heart. After looking at it for a while, he closed it, otherwise he would have lost himself in it. The most fatal thing is that Shimen Dezhuang is sending selfies everywhere. Moreover, he is taking selfies with a large number of Divine Universe golden stones. He is posing in all kinds of strange poses and expressions that he thinks are very handsome. It is very irritating to the eyes. Qin Yun really wants to delete Shimen Dezhuang's account in the background. But thinking about how Shimen Dezhuang can disgust Heavenly Dao Zi and Heavenly Dao Law Spirit, he feels that it is necessary to keep his account. At this time, Luo Shu sent a message. Divine King, a big city of the Luo Empire is being attacked by Cosmos God Race. The Luo Heavenly Emperor asked Barbarian Emperor for help, but Barbarian Emperor said that he has already lost Hualing Empire and the Luo Empire to Divine King. Therefore, the Luo Empire's big city is now under Divine King's control. Qin Yun glanced at Heavenly Dao Law Spirit, who is earnestly absorbing energy. Seeing Qin Yun's expression, Heavenly Dao Law Spirit has a bad premonition. Ha ha ha! Qin Yun suddenly laughed. Heavenly Dao Law Spirit's scalp immediately turned numb. He laughed bitterly. Qin Yun, if you have something to say, just say it. Do you want to fight with Cosmos God Race? Qin Yun laughed. I just received a piece of news that Cosmos God Race is attacking a big city of the Luo Empire. The Luo Empire belongs to the New Genesis race. They are robbing themselves. What has it got to do with us? Heavenly Dao Law Spirit did not want to go because he is afraid of facing those perfect God Son descendants. The Luo Empire belongs to me now. Furthermore, those fellows are using my name to rob everywhere. I have to teach them a lesson and push the blame of all the big cities that have been robbed to their heads. Qin Yun said seriously. Although he does not care about his reputation, he still does not wish for many people to scold him. Especially recently, there are rumors everywhere that he robbed the Hualing Empire. He felt very wronged in his heart because he clearly hid it very well. How could he still be discovered? Furthermore, Cosmos God Race is also robbing. Why is no one talking about them? He immediately arranged for Ming Yongtian, Murong Darren and the others to spread the evil deeds of Cosmos God Race and God Son descendants on the Magic Mirror platform. Alright, but you have to take action too. Heavenly Dao Law Spirit said, you have to bring out your strongest power. That's for sure. I want to annihilate the bandits who are robbing the big cities in Nine Sun Sacred Land and let the entire deity's Heaven God Desolate know that I, the God King, am not just for show. Qin Yun said righteously. Heavenly Dao Law Spirit felt a burst of disdain in his heart. The biggest bandit in deity's Heaven God Desolate is clearly you, Qin Yun. Qin Yun immediately replied to Luo Shu, saying that he will definitely take action and asked her and Luo Yingtian to prepare. He also asked Luo Yingtian to inform Barbarian Emperor that he will be participating in the battle. He asked Barbarian Emperor to be present and see how powerful the God King of deities Heaven God Desolate is. Chapter 3368. The next day. Sure enough, Xiao Zhonghan set up a stage in the estate and invited Miss Chu inside to listen to the opera. The man hugged the beauty as he sat in the main seat. The servants below all lowered their heads, not daring to breathe loudly. Qingwan, this grape is very sweet. You should also try one. Out of the corner of his eye, Xiao Zhonghan glanced at the corner of a sleeve outside the door. The corners of his mouth hooked up wickedly, but his words were incomparably gentle. Shenxi's footsteps paused. Her eyes fell on the man's handsome face, and a sour feeling suddenly rose from the bottom of her heart. In the 7 years they had been married, he had never treated her so gently. As if sensing her gaze, the man lifted his eyes without the slightest trace of gentleness from before. This commander and Qingwan have already been waiting for a long time. Why did you only come out now? Dilly-dallying, do you feel wronged by singing for this commander? His eyes were full of ridicule. Shenxi's face was pale. No. Forcefully suppressing the bitterness in her heart, she flung her sleeves, and her voice rose in spirals. Following her voice, Xiao Zhonghan's expression became increasingly unsightly, and the hand holding Chu Qingwan's waist also tightened. Young commander? Chu Qingwan raised her eyes to look at him. However, he seemed to have not heard her. His eyes narrowed as he coldly stared at the thin figure below. I didn't expect that Governor Shen's daughter would be so good at singing. Shenxi's eyelashes trembled. No matter what it was, as long as he said it, she would do it. But it was like this, it was this kind of obedience, this kind of resignation that caused Xiao Zhonghan's heart to suddenly surge with a monstrous fury. Someone come! Young commander. Go, bring over 1,000 steels. Yes. The servant hurriedly accepted the order and left. The remaining servants were even more terrified. Only Chu Qingwan looked at Xiao Zhonghan with a thoughtful expression. Soon, that person came up with a large tray. The tray was filled with steel. Xiao Zhonghan looked at the steels and suddenly released Chu Qingwan's arm. He reached out to take the tray. Young commander! A voice sounded and Xiao Zhonghan looked over. Chu Qingwan's voice was inquisitive. Do you really hate her? Xiao Zhonghan's cold eyes narrowed. Naturally. If she dies, what will happen to the young commander? Chu Qingwan asked almost instinctively. Xiao Zhonghan's eyes flashed as he shot a glance at the woman who was still singing. His voice abruptly turned ice-cold. If she dies, this marshal will wear a red ribbon and hold a banquet to celebrate. As soon as he finished speaking, his hand moved, and the room was filled with the sound of clanging steel. Shenxi, you sang very well today. This 1,000 yuan is this marshal's reward to you. After he finished speaking, he turned around and left. Behind him, Shenxi's footsteps were disrupted by the rolling steel. She fell heavily to the ground, but she didn't even cry out in pain. She just kept her head down, unable to hide the tears and despair in her eyes. After a long while, Madam, the young commander has already left. Chu Qingwan's voice sounded. Shenxi didn't raise her head. She just nodded and propped herself up. She turned around and walked straight with what little self-respect she had left. However, she had only taken 2 steps when a voice filled with pity and compassion called out to her from behind, Madam. She paused. Good and evil will eventually be repaid. In fact, Madam doesn't need to feel sorry for herself. When you used to scheme against the young commander and your own younger sister, you should have long thought of today's situation. Waiwele swoosh. The color of blood instantly faded from Shenxi's face. Chapter 3369. The major powers in the 9 Suns sacred ground all knew of the existence of the cosmic gods' race. Everyone in the cities of the sacred ground had heard of them. In most people's eyes, the cosmic gods' race was a high and mighty existence. Their status was far above that of the barbarian race, and they were also very powerful. The people in that big city found out that the cosmic gods' race had invaded. They found it hard to believe. To them, the cosmic gods' race should be in the camp of the new beginners. Why would they rob the cities of the Daluo and Hualing empires? Soon, they remembered that the 2 empires had been lost to Qin Yun by the barbarian emperor, so they were robbed. No, because the cities of the Great Blue Empire and the Great Hong Empire were robbed too. The worst was the Huoling Empire, while the Daluo Empire only had this big city robbed. This meant that the Cosmos God race did not target the Huoling Imperial City and Daluo Imperial City that Qin Yun was in charge of. Then what was Qin Yun doing before? Why did he not appear when Huoling Emperor City was robbed? This question appeared in everyone's mind. Then, they remembered that the Huoling Celestial Emperor was very disrespectful to Qin Yun. Everyone in the Huoling Emperor City did not accept Qin Yun, especially the city lords who took the lead in insulting the Divine King and resisting the Myriad Realms' Divine Court's entry. The Daluo Empire was different. The Daluo Celestial Emperor ordered the city lords to cooperate with the Myriad Realms' Divine Court to take over. Moreover, there was no resistance in the city. If anyone dared to resist, they would be caught, beaten, and thrown out of the city. Now that a big city of the Daluo Empire was robbed, it made sense that Qin Yun jumped out to stop it. After all, the Daluo Empire was a very obedient child. People in the city, the Divine King is very worried about everyone. Now that he has risked his life to save everyone, do you think this Divine King is worthy of everyone's respect? The natural law spirit rushed over and shouted, "The Divine King is mighty! The Divine King is mighty!" The people in the city shouted in unison. The natural law spirit did it on purpose. If he could not win, he would escape. Then, Qin Yun, who was hiding, would definitely come out. He thought that Qin Yun had already escaped and wanted to leave this mess to him. The 7 universe transformation realm experts of the Cosmos God race might be skinny, but their expressions were fierce. They had a sinister and ruthless aura, and their bodies emitted an evil aura of the god's sun blood seed. The most frightening thing was that the black sabers in their hands were emitting an especially dense evil aura. The black aura that they spewed out emitted a dense evil aura that whistled through the air. The Heavenly Law Fa Ling also had a weapon in his hand. It was a long rod that was bright and dazzling. At this moment, he also braced himself and charged towards the 7 space transformation realm experts. At this moment, the Barbarian Emperor and the Sword Elder looked at the Heaven Law Dharma Spirit seriously. They wanted to see how he would face these 7 powerful space transformation realm people. On the side of the Cosmos Gods, not all 7 of them rushed forward at the same time. Instead, one of them came out to fight. This person's attack was very crude. When he saw the Heavenly Law Magic Spirit coming over, he directly rushed over and slashed down with his saber. The Heavenly Law Dharma Spirit instantly determined that it could not block this saber head-on. However, he was still a little too slow, and his entire arm was split open. Even though one of his arms was severed, the Heavenly Law Dharma Spirit could be considered to have dodged successfully. He pulled apart the distance between him and that person. That Cosmos God who came out to fight gave a sinister smile. Then, he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of energy towards the severed arm of the Heavenly Law Dharma Spirit, directly shattering the arm. The people within the city saw the Baldy in the sky getting his arm severed in a single exchange. They immediately felt disappointed. Furthermore, they knew that it was not Qin Yun because Qin Yun was not a Baldy. Are all the subordinates of Qin Yun this kind of trash? That person pointed his saber at the Heavenly Law Dharma Spirit and sneered. Qin Yun sent you alone and you want to obstruct us? Even though the Heavenly Law Dharma Spirit was looked down upon, he was not angry at all. Instead, he laughed. The God King is everywhere. It is as easy as flipping his palm for him to kill all of you. The reason why he has not acted yet is because he is hesitating whether he should dirty his hands to kill you bunch of trash. Qin Yun cursed in his heart. This Heavenly Law Dharma Spirit had the same bad habit as Heaven Dao Child Shimen Dezhuang. They both loved to boast. He is forcing me to show myself. This fellow deliberately let one of his arms be severed so that he would not have to fight bitterly in the future. Truly crafty. He has the same crafty thoughts as Heaven Dao Child. How could Qin Yun not see through the ploy of the heavenly law Dharma spirit? Not to mention a severed arm, even if his head was blasted apart, Heaven Tao Child could similarly regrow his head. I think Qin Yun does not dare to come. Barbarian Emperor is watching by the side. Furthermore, he even brought an expert from the depths of the cosmos. Even if he came previously, he would definitely be frightened away. Only a foolish subordinate like you is still bragging about Qin Yun here. Even I feel sad for you. That person sneered. Rest assured, I will properly play with you and ruthlessly torture you. I do want to see if this tortoise Qin Yun dares to come or not. The heavenly law Dharma spirit was very happy in his heart. The effect he wanted was achieved. This way, even if Qin Yun did not want to act, he would still have to act. That cosmos god controlled his saber to float behind his back. He did not plan to use his saber to fight. Just as he was about to go over, he suddenly felt a powerful gravitational force pressing down on him from all directions, causing him to be unable to move. He immediately realized that Qin Yun had come. Qin Yun had always been near this person, just that nobody could discover him. That person suddenly roared furiously. One could see a deep saber wound on his back. Blood that was flickering with golden light was oozing out. At the same time, there was a sinister black aura coming out. Everyone was greatly startled. Just now, this powerful cosmos god was actually sneak attacked by someone. Even though sneak attacks were shameless, it was still quite amazing to sneak an attack on such an expert. Qin Yun was also very startled. His powerful saber could not cut apart the body of this cosmos god. He could only leave behind a scar. Barbarian Emperor's saber is not good enough. The saber in Qin Yun's hand felt as though it was about to crack, because when it reached the bone, it felt as though it had touched something hard. Seeing their comrade being sneak attacked, the other 6 cosmos gods could not sit still. They had just moved when they felt their bodies becoming light. They were lifted up by gravity and floated lightly. They could not control their bodies at all. At this moment, an enormous golden seal the size of a small mountain appeared out of nowhere. It came crashing down from above, pressing down on that injured cosmos god. At the same time when the huge seal pressed down, it produced intense golden light and flames. Even though the God King Heavenly Seal could not help Qin Yun improve his cultivation, it still contained a powerful energy. After all, this was a bloodline heavenly pattern box. By absorbing the energy from the divine cosmos golden rock, it would become stronger. Seeing the appearance of the God King Heavenly Seal, everyone knew that Qin Yun had truly come. The power of the God King Heavenly Seal was shocking. The cosmos god at the universe transformation realm was pressed down. His body felt like it was sealed. Furthermore, he felt incomparable pain. He fell onto the ground and rolled about while screaming. Qin Yun snatched away that black saber filled with sinister energy. He rapidly kept the God King Heavenly Seal before remaining invisible. Mobile users please visit Chapter 3370. This Cosmos God Race Space Transformation Realm expert was actually very powerful. Otherwise, he would have been killed by Qin Yun. One had to know that Qin Yun did not need to release the God King Heavenly Seal to suppress those Dharma Spirit Heaven Sons. Qin Yun could not kill the 2 Dharma Spirit Heaven Sons who grasped powerful array discs. He could only trap them. The Heavenly Tao Law Spirit looked at the Cosmos God Race clansman rolling on the ground and heaved a sigh of relief. Qin Yun did not slip away, and he hid very well. Qin Yun, who suddenly attacked, was indeed, as the Heavenly Tao Law Spirit said, everywhere. The Cosmos God Race clansman who was previously ridiculing Qin Yun was beaten to the ground in a blink of an eye. Qin Yun could not kill this space transformation realm expert in a short period of time. The strength of his fleshly body was hard to destroy. It would take a long time to completely destroy it. Furthermore, this space transformation realm expert's soul was very powerful. When Qin Yun attacked just now, he could clearly feel the mental energy impact from the other party. If not for Qin Yun wearing the heaven hat, he might have been knocked unconscious by the other party. Barbarian Emperor did not see Qin Yun appear, nor could he sense Qin Yun. He despised Qin Yun in his heart. This was how he was defeated by Qin Yun previously. Sword Elder, did you sense Qin Yun just now? Barbarian Emperor asked. Sword Elder did not answer because he really did not sense Qin Yun. But he could not say it, lest he was looked down upon. If the other party suddenly disappeared during battle, it would be very dangerous. It would be easy for a sneak attack to succeed. Qin Yun was very powerful, especially his fleshly body. With such a powerful fleshly body, he did not need to sneak attacks at all. But from Qin Yun's point of view, this was the safest way. He was not a hot-blooded young man who would fight in an open and above-board manner. If he could succeed in a sneak attack, he would not fight head-on. Although it was a bit wretched, at least he would not put himself in a desperate situation. Previously, after he was almost killed by the 9 heavenly law spirit, he decided to walk this path in the future. Now there were still 6 Cosmos God Race Space Transformation Realm experts. They realized Qin Yun's treachery and knew that they could not attack one by one. They did not look at their comrade, who was knocked to the ground, because they knew that he was only heavily injured and would not die. In the Deity Desolate, it was not easy to kill them quickly unless one's strength far surpassed them. Qin Yun was indeed stronger than them, but not by much. Qin Yun, who was hiding in the shadows, secretly prepared the heavenly pattern characters. He placed the other bloodline heavenly pattern boxes into the God King heavenly seal, and at the same time placed a large number of divine universe goldstones. This way, the heavenly pattern formed by the godly monarch heaven seal would be even stronger. Are the godly monarchs of the deity Desolation always so sneaky? You only know how to launch sneak attacks? A space transformation realm expert floated high in the sky, his hand tightly grasping a saber, looking around with incomparable vigilance. What's the point of hiding? Show yourself if you have the guts. Another space transformation stage expert shouted in rage. Qin Yun was not that foolish. Now they were going to fight to the death. There was no need to talk about whether he had the guts or not. As long as he killed the other party, he would be considered a hero if he could survive. Suddenly, a powerful light lit up in the sky. It was right behind a space transformation realm powerhouse. Qin Yun suddenly appeared with a godly monarch heavenly seal in his hand. His arm shot out like lightning as the heavenly seal charged straight at the back of the space transformation realm's head. Bang! A heavenly character was imprinted on the back of that person's head. That space transformation realm powerhouse immediately hugged his head and screamed miserably. Then, he fell to the ground and rolled. Qin Yun had fused the 3 heavenly characters of fire, seal, and pain. What he attacked was the other party's soul. Although he was unable to destroy the soul of a powerful divine sun descendant, it was still possible to make the other party suffer so much pain that he could not retaliate. Another space transformation realm was defeated. Barbarian Emperor's heart jumped. He felt that Qin Yun had become so much stronger in just a few days. He began to worry that the Sword Elder he brought back would not be able to defeat Qin Yun. The Heavenly Law FA Spirit also admitted that Qin Yun's sneak attacks were indeed very beautiful. Even he wanted to learn from it. After concealing himself, no one would be able to sense him. This was truly too dangerous. The remaining 5 Cosmos God Race Space Transformation realms were constantly on guard against Qin Yun. Furthermore, they walked together so that they could take care of each other. The 2 Space Transformation realm powerhouses that were beaten to the ground by Qin Yun suddenly disappeared. They were captured by Qin Yun and thrown into the shell that sealed the ancient beast. They were placed together with the 2 FA Spirit Heavenly Suns. Every time Qin Yun used the Divine King Heavenly Seal, he would need to consume 1 trillion Divine Universe Golden Stones. Just now, he had used 2 trillion, so he had to capture the 2 space transformation realms, otherwise he would suffer a loss. From his point of view, the energy contained within the bodies of the 2 space transformation realms could be refined into a divine sun blood seed. Refining one would be at least 5 trillion. Selling it to the ancient beast or the heavenly law FA spirit would be a profit. If the heavenly law FA spirit knew that Qin Yun was thinking of getting rich, he would definitely curse Qin Yun's face. The ancient beast transformed into a horse and watched from afar. He did not make a move. Qin Yun already arrived beside the ancient beast and said in a low voice, "Little horse, it's time for you to make a move. Charge over and scatter those fellows. You can do it, right?" "Alright." The ancient beast needed the divine sun blood seed from Qin Yun, so he listened to Qin Yun. The ancient beast immediately rushed over at an extremely fast speed. Although he transformed into a horse and flew in the air, his speed was first class. Those few space transformation realms were inferior to him. The most terrifying thing was that he was a horse just now, but when he rushed over, he turned into a very hard-headed 9-sun Kuan-Pung. After he transformed into a 9-sun Kuan-Pung, although his body was not big, his explosive power was extremely strong. Furthermore, his body flickered with intense light as he absorbed the power of the myriad realms' divine Sunday. After the ancient beast saw the 9-sun Kuan-Pung, he could transform into it. He transformed into a 9-sun Kuan-Pung and swallowed quite a few divine universe metal stones. Boom! The sudden appearance of the ancient beast caught the few space transformation realms by surprise. In order to avoid being hit, they could only scatter. The heavenly law FA spirit also attacked at this time, trying his best to scatter these few people so that Qin Yun could capture them one by one. Qin Yun acted very quickly. Very soon, he captured another one and stuffed it into the hard shell. With the ancient beast and the heavenly law FA spirit working together, the remaining 4 space transformation realms became more and more difficult as they were defeated by Qin Yun one by one. The heavenly law FA spirit was secretly jealous of Qin Yun because this time, Qin Yun had captured 7 fused bodies of cosmos gods and divine sun descendant. He was overjoyed to death when he captured one with Qin Yun's help. Qin Yun indeed needed these fellows because this way, he could study how to deal with them. The divine sun descendants within the myriad realms' divine sun might grow to such a stage in the future. He had to find a way to restrain them as soon as possible. Otherwise, if they were to grow and spread in the deity desolate, it would definitely be out of control. At that time, he would be powerless to reverse the situation. Chapter 3371. Great Luo Empire's crisis was temporarily averted. The people in the city were very grateful to Qin Yun. As such, everyone in the 9-sun sacred ground thought that the Huoling Empire was robbed by the cosmos god race. This matter spread across the deity wasteland in no time, and the reputation of the cosmos god race quickly became extremely bad. Even the big cities of the Great Blue Empire and the Great Hong Empire were in a state of panic. They were worried that their cities would be robbed. One must know that the people in these cities had all bought land and houses. If they were robbed, they would suffer heavy losses. The Cosmos God race was one of the big shots on the side of the new beginning humans, but they took the lead in seizing the big cities. This led to a period of internal chaos in the new beginning humans camp. Barbarian Emperor was also very dissatisfied with the Cosmos Gods race because 3 of his subordinates, Barbarian Kings, had sided with the Cosmos Gods race. Now, he also knew that the Cosmos God race had fused with the descendants of the God Sun. The souls of the God Sun descendants fused into the bodies of the Cosmos Gods. They were using the name of the Cosmos Gods to move around. Sword Elder, do you want to fight with Qin Yun now? The barbaric emperor asked. There's no need to fight now, Sword Elder coldly said. In fact, he could not sense Qin Yun at all. How was he going to fight? He believed that he could definitely beat Qin Yun. However, Qin Yun had hidden himself. If he lost his target, it would be very embarrassing. Barbarian Emperor seemed to have noticed something, but he did not say anything. He believed that Old Sword's strength was not any weaker than Qin Yun's. It was just that Qin Yun was too cunning. He had been concealing himself all this time, so even if Old Sword was stronger than Qin Yun, he would not be able to make a move. "I can help you kill the traitor," the Sword Elder said again. He had to find something to do to show off his strength and also to cover up the embarrassment of not being able to sense Qin Yun. Sure, but it's still quite dangerous. Barbarian Emperor had also obtained some information regarding the Cosmos God race. He knew that they had used the God Sun Blood Seed Crystal to fuse with the God Sun Descendant and become extremely powerful. Barbarian Emperor and Sword Elder left. The Natural Law FA Spirit also secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He had just sensed the existence of the Sword Elder and was locked onto by the Sword Elder from time to time, which gave him a lot of pressure. "What? Are you afraid of the guy that the Barbarian Sovereign brought back?" Qin Yun sent a voice transmission to the Heavenly Tao Dharma Spirit. "Of course I'm afraid. That guy is very strong. It should be one of the experimental products of the Cosmos Dharma Spirit, and a very successful one at that." The Heavenly Law Spirit sighed. "I wonder how many more of these fellows are there in the universe. If we fight, he might not be able to defeat me," Qin Yun said with a smile. "The Barbarian Sovereign must have invited him here to deal with me. But he didn't attack just now. Do you know why? Because he can't sense you. Without a target, no matter how strong he is, what use is it?" The Heavenly Tao Law Spirit shook his head with a smile. He could not sense Qin Yun either. If he were to fight Qin Yun, there was no way he could win. After settling the matter of the city, Qin Yun took out the Heaven Leaping Shuttle. The Heavenly Tao Dharma Spirit and the Ancient Beast entered the Heaven Leaping Shuttle. The Heavenly Law Spirit had already captured a Cosmos God Race Universe Transformation Realm expert. He also had the energy of the God Sun Blood Seed Crystal. He was about to start researching it. Qin Yun sent him back to the Heavenly Law altar and then left with Gu Jiao. The Ancient Beast likes the Divine Inscription Mountain very much. He said that the people there speak very well and all of them are talented. The Divine Inscription Mountain was now in the Dragon Prefecture, which was also the Dragon Snake Treasure Land. Qin Yun immediately teleported there. The Imperial Sky Pawnshop was also present. Everyone was gathered in the Dragon Prefecture outside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground to avoid being hunted down by people from the Sacred Ground. Qin Yun also had some free time now. He released the Nine Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda and entered it. He began fiddling with his matters. First, he had to help Gu Jiao create a God Sun Blood Seed. To Qin Yun, this could be completed very quickly. He needed 5 trillion Divine Universe Golden Stones to create a God Sun Blood Seed. He would take 6 trillion for Gu Jiao and only earn a little from him. The Heavenly Law Spirit told Qin Yun that although the Cosmos God race had several thousand powerful Universe Transformation Realm experts, they created this batch of Universe Transformation Realm experts mainly for the 9th Divine Sunday. Because as long as one controlled the 9th Divine Sun, it was equivalent to controlling the strongest Divine Sun in the Divine Desolate. The 9th Divine Sun that was born last was the strongest. Within its core, there was a very large God Sun Blood Seed crystal. It was placed inside by the 9 Sun Law Spirit in order to create the strongest myriad realms. Divine Sunday Qin Yun was not too worried about the control of the 9th Divine Sun because he had the 9 Sun Law Spirit. He was mainly worried that something would happen to the 9 Sun Goddess and that it would affect the Divine Moon of the Heavens. Yu Shangyun had now controlled the Divine Moon of the Heavens. She was comprehending new cultivation techniques inside and wanted to create a cultivation technique suitable for the Divine Moon race so that the female Divine Moon race could surpass the Divine Space Realm. Also, Qin Yun was more concerned about the group of divine sun descendants. If the divine sun descendants were not destroyed, they would appear continuously and be absorbed by the cosmos god race. Then, a large number of universe transformation realm monsters would appear. This would be the greatest source of unrest in the divine desolate. In the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda, Qin Yun used a large number of divine universe golden stones to frantically create God's sun blood seed. A month passed. Qin Yun created a total of more than 100 God's sun blood seeds and used 5 trillion divine universe golden stones. And during this period of time, many big cities in the 9-sun sacred ground were robbed. They were all from the Great Blue Empire and the Great Hong Empire. The Cosmos God race did not dare to rob the big cities of the Great Luo Empire because their universe transformation realm experts were also very precious. Moreover, they did not have the confidence to defeat Qin Yun, so they did not dare to make a move. Barbarian Emperor finally made a move. He finally took action and represented the new Genesis humans to resist the universe transformation realm experts of the Cosmos God race. His action made Qin Yun feel very surprised. This meant that the internal strife of the new Genesis humans had begun. Moreover, it was Barbarian Emperor who took the lead and started a war against the strongest Cosmos God race in this camp. Qin Yun obtained a good news. The God Judge had also stepped into the universe transformation realm. It was the heavenly Tao Law Spirit who guided him. During this period of time, the heavenly Tao Law Spirit became a Tao preacher and guided many big shots in the primal camp to cultivate. For example, Dragon Turtle King, Long Shu, 9 Dragon King, Strange Cat King and others were all comprehending the universe transformation realm under the guidance of the heavenly Tao Law Spirit. The deities within the myriad realms' divine court also frequently listened to the Tao preaching of the heavenly Tao Law Spirit. Their comprehension was quite deep, and they were very close to stepping into the universe transformation realm. The heavenly Tao Law Spirit and the 9 Yang Law Spirit had a close relationship. This universe transformation realm cultivation technique was also improved by the 9 Yang Law Spirit and was suitable for primal people to cultivate. During this month, the heavenly Tao Law Spirit often came to find Qin Yun for the energy of the God's Sun Blood Seed Crystal. This energy could help people step into the universe transformation realm. Qin Yun was also willing to give the energy of the God's Sun Blood Seed Crystal. The primal camp had many treasured lands. The big shots of the powerful races that controlled these treasured lands were all willing to use large amounts of divine universe goldstones to purchase the energy of the God's Sun Blood Seed Crystal in exchange for breaking through to the universe transformation realm. Qin Yun began to study the God's Sun Blood Seed Crystal. He also had a great harvest from the few Cosmos God race space transformation realm experts. The God's Desolate was not peaceful during this period of time. There would be quite a bit of activity every few days. It was all caused by the Barbarian Emperor and the Cosmos God race. Qin Yun had been quiet for more than 2 months. However, today, because a huge translucent ball of light appeared in the sky, he could no longer remain quiet. Standing on the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda, he looked at the faintly discernible huge ball of light in the sky. He could see that it was the embryonic form of the 9th divine Sunday. Chapter 3372. Qin Yun immediately contacted Xiao Yuelan through the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda, but he could not contact her. The 9th divine sun is already showing signs of coming into being. Qin Yun is very worried about what is happening inside, but he can't contact Xiao Yuelan. Xiao Yuelan previously said that she would bring Qin Yun to participate in the battle inside the 9th divine Sunday. She definitely did not say that perfunctorily. I can't contact her, I don't know what happened. Qin Yun is very anxious, but there is nothing he can do because he doesn't know how to enter that mysterious space. The strange movement in the sky is very shocking. The entire divine desolate is in jubilation. Because in most people's opinion, after the ninth divine sun comes into being, the 9 myriad realms' divine suns will be considered perfect. It will be very beneficial to the living beings of the divine desolate. This is also the case, provided that nothing goes wrong and the control of the myriad realms' divine sun does not fall into the hands of others. Yushang Yun, who has not heard from her for a long time, also contacted Qin Yun. Yun, is there any news from the 9 Sun Divine Maiden? Yushang Yun asked. She is also very concerned about the 9th Divine Sunday. No. Did they contact you? Qin Yun asked. Also no. What about the 9 Sun Law Spirit? Did they give you any instructions? Yushang Yun asked again. It would be great if they gave me instructions. I don't know what to do now, it's like I'm an outsider. Qin Yun sighed. The little Divine Moon Law Spirit is not in a hurry. She wants me to continue increasing my strength. Yushang Yun said, You shouldn't be in a hurry. The reason why you feel like an outsider now is because your responsibility is not with the 9 myriad realms' divine suns, but with the divine desolate and dealing with the descendants of the divine sun. Maybe. Qin Yun asked, Sister Shang Yun, how is your cultivation situation now? I have already comprehended the essentials of the origin realm. Just a little bit more, I will be able to step into the origin realm very soon. I heard that their cultivation is mainly at the space transformation realm. This is the cultivation path jointly created by the Universe Law Spirit and the 9 Sun Law Spirit. Yushang Yun said. Yes, and it is very mature and relatively easy. Qin Yun nodded. I have fought with the space transformation realm before. They are definitely not as strong as us origin realm. It was more difficult to walk the path of returning to the beginning. First, one needed resources, such as the divine sun bloodline. Yushang Yun had the mystic moon blood seed, and she was not lacking either, so there was naturally no problem. Most people in the divine wilderness believed that it was best to walk the space transformation path, because it would be easier to obtain the divine sun blood seed crystal's energy in the future. The 9th divine sun's core contained the divine sun blood seed crystal. It was placed inside by the 9 Suns Law Spirit. Once the 9th divine sun was born, the divine sun blood seed crystal would be of great use. The blood seed crystal's light would illuminate the entire divine desolate. The heavenly law's Dharma spirit also said that the power of the 9th divine sun's blood seed crystal could be replicated by the cores of the other 8 myriad divine suns. The 9 myriad worlds' god suns will all have God's sun blood seed crystals. The heavens' god desolate will become even more powerful and will be able to create an extremely powerful barrier. The living beings in the heavens' god desolate will not have their cultivation taken back by the universe. This was only a more ideal result. When that time came, he would have to worry about the descendants of the divine sun god. No one knew how the descendants of the divine sun would evolve after absorbing the energy of the divine sun blood seed crystal. Qin Yun and Yushang Yun exchanged cultivation experiences. Yushang Yun also said that after she stepped into the origin realm, she would try out her improved Sun and Moon Heart Sutra. Both of them were at the origin realm, and then they would cultivate together. She wanted to see what kind of reaction there would be. This made Qin Yun secretly excited. He felt that Yushang Yun was flirting with him. After ending the communication, Qin Yun immediately returned to the 9 Sun heaven-raising pagoda. Sister Shang Yun has the help of the divine moon's little Dharma spirit. Maybe she will become very strong after entering the origin realm. I can't lose to her. I have to cultivate immediately. Qin Yun also has more than 100 divine sun blood seed. He began extracting the divine sun blood seed liquid from them. Then, he circulated the imperial heaven divine technique and began cultivating. He only dug out the power of his arm. More than 100 divine sun blood seeds were enough for him to dig out all the hidden power in his body. He could reach the great circle of the origin realm. The heavenly law's Dharma spirit continued to pass down the Tao. He no longer needed the energy of Qin Yun's divine sun bloodseed crystal, because the ninth divine sun could already emit this kind of energy. The ninth divine sun has not completely come out, but there is light descending on the earth. The heavenly law's Dharma spirit began to organize people to set up a formation to gather the energy of the divine sun blood seed crystal. It was not only the heavenly law's Dharma spirit who did this. The barbarian emperor, the cosmos god race, and the other factions all sensed it and immediately took action. Some of the beasts in the divine desolate heavens had good perception. After sensing the energy of the divine sun blood seed crystal, they could figure out how to cultivate to the space transformation realm. In just a short span of 10 days, the divine desolate heavens underwent another transformation. The mountains, rivers and all living things on the earth transformed because of the weak light of the ninth divine sun. It has such powerful power even before it was completely born. How powerful would it be if it was born? Qin Yun now understood even more why the cosmos god's Dharma spirit wanted to fight for the ninth divine sun. The heavenly law's Dharma spirit sped up the Tao. As long as the gods of the myriad realms' divine court could step into the space transformation realm, coupled with the clan kings of the various powerful races, as well as the upper echelons of the powerful races, they would not need to fear the cosmos god race and the barbarian race camp for the time being. What worried the heavenly law's Dharma spirit was that after the ninth divine sun was completely born, would a new super-strong race be born? Would the descendants of the divine sun and the cosmos god race become stronger? Would the various powerful beings hidden in the depths of the universe be attracted? Furthermore, what kind of seal would there be in this mysterious and unfathomable universe? After all, the ninth divine sun might be born with the power of transcendence. The heavenly law's Dharma spirit was currently very busy, managing Qin Yun in the myriad realms' divine court. He often summoned the clan kings of the various powerful races to make all kinds of arrangements and overall plans. He also planned for everyone to establish a communication network and gather the divine universe metal stones. It could be said that he was a very competent tool. The one who understood the divine court the most was none other than the heavenly law's Dharma spirit. Back in the divine palace, the heavenly law's Dharma spirit had participated in the creation of all kinds of deity positions. Qin Yun was very comfortable being a hands-off shopkeeper. The heavenly law's Dharma spirit did not have any complaint. After all, he was originally a professional at doing such things. From his point of view, Qin Yun was only responsible for being a hired thug. He was the highest deterrent force in the myriad realms' divine court. After using up 70 divine sun blood seeds, Qin Yun finally reached the great circle of the origin realm. He was confident that he could defeat the nine heavens' Dharma spirit. My soul has yet to return to the beginning. I have to use the divine sun blood seed crystal to cultivate. Qin Yun did not cultivate his soul because he still had Miller's secret help in the aspect of soul and mental power. He went into seclusion for another month. The ninth divine sun still has not completely appeared, but the multicolored light is getting stronger and stronger. Qin Yun still could not contact Xiao Yuelan, so he planned to directly rush to the ninth divine sun and go in to take a look. Chapter 3373. Qin Yun did not know the exact situation of the ninth divine sun, nor did he know what would happen if he entered now. It would be best if he could figure out the situation, but the problem now was that he could not contact Xiao Yuelan, so he could not directly know the situation inside. Just as the heavenly law Dharma spirit had said, neither the nine suns Dharma spirit nor the nine suns divine ladies wanted him to get involved. This meant that the ninth divine sun's matter had nothing to do with him. Qin Yun's greatest responsibility as a divine king was to find a way to restrain the descendants of the divine sun. The descendants of the god sun had evolved and mutated. They were much stronger than before, especially after fusing with the cosmos gods. They became stronger and harder to kill. Qin Yun, ninth divine sun situation is very complicated. If you rush in directly, it will be somewhat dangerous. Taisher warned Qin Yun. What kind of danger? Qin Yun was already flying towards the ninth divine Sunday. You have to know that the energy of this super divine sun itself is very terrifying. Once this energy goes out of control, you won't be able to resist it. The energy of the other divine suns is restricted, but the ninth divine sun is not. Brother Taisher said. Let me get closer to take a look first. When Qin Yun heard old Brother Taisher's words, he decided to be more cautious and not be rash. Half a day later, Qin Yun entered the region illuminated by the ninth divine sun's faint glow. Arriving here, he felt a very violent spatial fluctuation. The ninth divine sun hadn't completely come out because it was in another space. At this moment, it seemed like it was about to break through the spatial wall and come out. Even though they were separated by a very strong spatial wall, the ninth divine sun's rays still penetrated through and brought great benefits to divine desolate. In particular, the energy of the divine sun blood seed crystal allowed many living beings to enter the space transformation realm. There's a layer of space blocking it. Qin Yun said in astonishment. What space was the ninth divine sun formed in? Don't tell me it's going to be raised inside and then released? Each of the myriad worlds' divine suns in the divine wilderness was different from the others. Some grew up from a young age, some suddenly grew big, and some grew strong in other universes before appearing in the deity desolate. Now that multiple universes had fused, the ninth divine sun had to grow in an extremely powerful space. At the same time, it had to absorb a lot of energy from the universe in order to form such a huge ninth divine Sunday. Xiao Yuelon said before that there is a passage inside the divine sun that leads to the space where the ninth divine sun is located. Back then, Qin Yun believed that it was only the ninth divine sun's core. He never expected that the ninth divine sun had already formed and that it was so huge. It seems like there are still many mysteries in this universe. Old Brother Taisher said, for example, the birthplace of the ninth divine sun is definitely a domain that we have never known about. After approaching, Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and could clearly see a small part of the ninth divine Sunday. This part touched the spatial wall and wanted to break through another space. Even though it was only a small part, the multicolored light was extremely powerful. Could there be a force preventing the ninth divine sun from coming over? Qin Yun was very curious. He finally knows why he can't contact Xiao Yuelon. After approaching the ninth divine sun, he can clearly sense that the spatial situation here is very complicated. If he wanted to open a stable spatial transmission channel, he could only rely on the little ant queen's power. Not only could the little ant queen bring Qin Yun into the dark space, she could also provide him with extremely powerful spatial energy. Qin Yun is high up in the sky. In front of him is a chaotic spatial fluctuation. He can't approach it. Even if he uses his most powerful strength, he can't break through the spatial wall in front of him and enter the ninth divine sun. He took out the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda and opened a spatial sound transmission array inside his body. This is used to communicate with Xiao Yuelon. The little ant queen has already flown out of the 9-sun divine soul and transferred energy to the spatial sound transmission array. With the little ant queen's help, Qin Yun amplified the power of the spatial sound transmission array and opened a stable spatial transmission channel. Furthermore, he successfully sensed Xiao Yuelon's spatial sound transmission array. Not long after, Qin Yun received Xiao Yuelon's voice. Xiao Yun, this is great, you finally found a way to contact me. Xiao Yuelon said in pleasant surprise. Yuelon, what's the situation on your side? Qin Yun hurriedly asked. The situation is very complicated. Xiao Yuelon sighed and said, this matter has exceeded our expectations. We don't know what to do. What about the 9-sun law spirit and the universe law spirit? Are they fighting over the control of the ninth divine sun? Qin Yun asked. Are they fighting or what? Oh right, is that nine heavens law spirit in the ninth divine sun's core space? It would be great if they were fighting, but the problem is, they have fused. Xiao Yuelon said. The nine sun law spirit and the universe law spirit have fused into one. What? Qin Yun is dumbfounded. The irreconcilable nine sun law spirit and the universe law spirit actually fused together? Although these two law spirits once cooperated, they later parted ways and fought each other for a very long time. It has already reached an irreconcilable point. But now they have fused together and at such a crucial time. What's going on? Qin Yun understands that the complicated situation Xiao Yuelon is talking about is indeed unexpected. The nine sun law spirit and the universe law spirit have both cultivated physical bodies, and they are both very powerful. These two guys admire each other's body very much. Then they started fighting, praising each other's body as they fought. They are both very greedy for each other's body. While fighting, they suddenly stopped and said, "Let's try fusing together. Maybe it will be more perfect and we can even obtain each other's body." Then they fused together. When Xiao Yuelon mentioned this matter, she felt very helpless. Qin Yun is completely dumbfounded. The decision made by these two law spirits is too rash. He is suddenly worried that his body has been infatuated by these two law spirit. One must know that he is now a peak returning to beginning expert. His body is extremely powerful. Xiao Yun, I heard that your body is very powerful. The nine heaven law spirit is also here. He said that your body is very good. You must be careful. The nine heaven law spirit seems to be very greedy for your body. When Xiao Yuelon said this, she also felt that it is very strange. I will pay attention. Qin Yun is not afraid of the nine heaven law spirit. Instead, he wants to fight with them and test his current strength. Yuelon, where is the ninth divine sun? Qin Yun asked. It's in a very strange place. I heard from the nine sun law spirit and the universe law spirit that this place is called universe's core. After they fuse together, they are controlling the ninth divine sun to rush out of the universe's core, but they haven't been able to succeed. Qin Yun asked, Are you in any danger? Xiao Yuelon's voice suddenly became angry as she said, The universe god race is here. Those guys are causing trouble, causing the ninth divine sun to be unable to rush out. Chapter 3374. Qin Yun knew that Cosmos God Race would definitely take this opportunity to cause trouble. He felt that it is very strange, why can Cosmos God Race people enter the universe core space? Yuelon, how can I go to the universe core? I want to go in and help you. Qin Yun looked at the myriad realms divine sun that was obstructed in coming into being. He only hoped that he could quickly deal with it, lest a long night brings many dreams. Let little Ant Queen bring you into the dark space. After entering, I will let UMA use a secret technique to release spatial ripples. After little Ant Queen senses it, just follow the spatial ripples. Xiao Yuelon said. Quickly come in, I am afraid that those two fused magic spirits won't be able to hold on. Qin Yun immediately let little Ant Queen bring him into the dark space. After entering the dark space, little Ant Queen very seriously sensed the surrounding spatial ripples. Qin Yun also tried to sense, but the surrounding spatial ripples are very chaotic. He can't sense anything at all. Not long after, little Ant Queen discovered something. Brother Yun, I can sense it. Little Ant Queen lightly shouted. Bring me there immediately. Qin Yun promptly said. Little Ant Queen's entire body released golden light rays. The surrounding space began to fluctuate and then a crack gradually appeared. Qin Yun was suddenly wrapped up by spatial power. It is the spatial membrane released by little Ant Queen. It is very safe inside. Passing through some powerful spatial walls will not be torn apart by spatial power. After passing through a spatial wall, Qin Yun arrived at an incomparably dark space. It is as if he is in a void universe without any stars. Where am I? Qin Yun did not see the ninth divine sun, nor can he sense any energy fluctuation. Brother Yun, this is just a passage. Little Ant Queen said softly. I am following the spatial ripples released by Sister Uma. Qin Yun cannot sense any fluctuations, but Little Ant Queen can. At this moment, Qin Yun and Little Ant Queen are still inside the spatial bubble, slowly moving forward. Sometimes it is the front, sometimes it is the right. Little Ant Queen closed her eyes and very seriously controlled the direction. It seems like she can't even take a wrong step. Almost there. Little Ant Queen suddenly shouted. N. Qin Yun immediately prepared to go to the universe core. There might be a great battle. The spatial bubble slowly passed through a fluctuating spatial wave. At the same time, Qin Yun immediately summoned the solar heaven shield to block in front of him, in case of any sudden attacks. There was no attack, but an incredibly powerful wave of energy rushed over. It wasn't that someone was attacking them, but that this place was filled with terrifying energy. Many streams of energy were moving violently, erupting with intense multicolored light, and then colliding with each other to produce energy light waves. Qin Yun immediately placed the Little Ant Queen into the 9 Sun Divine Spirit. Then, he mobilized all of the 9 Sun Divine Spirits' Divine Sun energy to activate the Sun Heavenly Shield. Otherwise, he would not be able to block this energy. Once he was hit by it, a layer of his skin would definitely be shed. This is the cosmos core? What terrifying energy fluctuations! No wonder the 9th Divine Sun was born here. Qin Yun could not see the exact situation because he was surrounded by an incomparably intense glow. At this moment, he was in a space filled with violent energy, and there were powerful energy waves coming from all directions at every moment. Every energy wave carried a strong light and lightning, like a super-strong attack. Qin Yun could barely block it with the Sun Heavenly Shield. He opened his heavenly eye and carefully looked around. He was immediately shocked. He originally only wanted to see where the 9th Divine Sun was, but when he opened his heavenly eye and saw through the thick layer of energy, he saw that this space was filled with super-huge divine suns. Every divine sun was bigger than the super-divine sun he had seen before. A super-divine sun of this size should have transformed into a super-nether sun in the universe or even become an energy body. However, in this place, divine suns seemed to be able to grow without limit. There were many divine suns in the universe. Even if some of them were destroyed by the descendants of divine suns from time to time, there were still many divine suns. When he looked up into the sky, most of the starlight came from the divine suns that were far away. This cosmos core had actually gathered so many divine suns. The universe had always been collecting energy and then releasing it into the star Divine Sunday. There were many stars near the Divine Sun, and some of the stars would give birth to living beings. After many years, these divine suns would be destroyed and the energy would return to the cosmos core. Furthermore, the universe could also collect human energy. So it was stored in the cosmos core and turned into so many huge divine suns. Which one is the 9th divine sun? Qin Yun is stunned. The divine suns here all seem to be the same size. He took out Xiao Yuelan's soul-chasing talisman, but there was no reaction at all. With so many divine suns, all kinds of energy would definitely affect one's perception. Old brother Taisher, do you have a way to find the 9th divine sun? Qin Yun took out the divine mirror of primordial beginning. Qin Yun, I think that every divine sun here has a living being, and they all have very strong soul fluctuations. Old brother Taisher suddenly said. What? A living being? Could it be in existence like Little Horse? Qin Yun was also given a fright. Not at all. Little Horse is formed from a small amount of energy in the core, and the divine sun here might be an entire divine sun that is about to transform into a living being. Old Brother Taisher's voice is filled with fear. The super divine sun here is like a cocoon. Don't scare me. Qin Yun naturally knows how terrifying the energy of a super divine sun is. If the energy of an entire super divine sun were to transform into a living being, one could imagine how powerful it would be. Not to mention an entire super divine sun, even 1% of it would be very terrifying. The ninth divine sun should be relatively small here, and to break through the space wall, it might be at the edge. Old Brother Taisher said, "Do your best to release your heavenly eye to search. Your heavenly eye can be very powerful, but you have never used your heavenly eye to its fullest, right? Let Malheur help you." Heavenly eye mainly relies on mental power, coupled with lawless power. It can indeed be very powerful. Oh right, in addition to Imperial Heaven Divine Art, when borrowing Malheur's mental power, you must use your Imperial Heaven Heart to transform it into lawless power. Old Brother Taisher said again. Alright. Qin Yun immediately contacted Malheur. Malheur immediately turned into red-haired Malheur and released her mental power with all her strength. Last time, Qin Yun borrowed Malheur's mental power and his body was in extreme pain. But now, he doesn't feel any pain because his body has become a lot stronger. Moreover, he has also unearthed the power of his body. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye with all his strength. Inside the universe core, he condensed a pair of super-huge heavenly eye and looked down at the entire universe core. At this moment, in his mind, those super-huge divine suns are as small balls. Not long after, he saw at the edge of the space there is an even smaller ball that is trying very hard to wiggle out of the space wall. Chapter 3375. Seeing the small ball running out with all its might, it looked like a tiny dot. Especially when compared to the surrounding gigantic divine suns, this small ball looked like a little brother. This is the ninth divine sun, isn't it too small? Qin Yun originally thought that the ninth divine sun would be extremely huge because in the heart of the universe, divine suns were like giant. There weren't many divine suns as small as the ninth divine sun. When Qin Yun saw that there were so many divine suns here, it was impossible for him not to steal them. However, the divine suns here were very special. Although they erupted with very violent and powerful energy, they couldn't be absorbed. Originally, he had planned to come in later to absorb energy and use it to feed his 9-sun divine spirit. However, he had failed several times. He couldn't even devour and steal the energy, much less steal the divine suns here. Furthermore, he wasn't sure if the 9-sun divine spirit could contain such a gigantic divine Sunday. He had already flown towards the very small divine Sunday. However, such a small divine sun was indeed a very powerful existence to the divine desolate. This heart of the universe is truly a terrifying place. Qin Yun passed through the gigantic divine suns. He felt an incomparable scorching heat, but his heart felt a chill. Fortunately, he had previously used his heavenly eye to look down at these divine suns. He could see them all, so he wasn't that afraid now. The divine suns in the heart of the universe were rotating on their own. At the same time, they were floating at a very slow speed. Even such a small movement would erupt with extremely violent energy. Incomparably powerful energy storms were everywhere. If not for Qin Yun's sun heavenly shield, he would have long been burned to ashes by the incomparably scorching energy. If these divine suns move quickly, what will happen in the end? Qin Yun thought to himself. Qin Yun, did you see the center just now? Brother Taisher suddenly asked. Center? There's no divine sun in the center. I didn't see anything even though there's a very strong light enveloping it. Qin Yun said. The energy of these divine suns should have been devoured by the center. If you observe carefully, you will discover that these countless divine suns are slowly rotating around the center. Brother Taisher said. The center has a very strong devouring power? Qin Yun was alarmed. What kind of thing could devour the energy of such a divine sun? Don't go to the center. It's definitely very dangerous there. Taisha instructed, let's go to the ninth divine sun first. Qin Yun is currently flying over. He is unable to use fast speed, nor can he use spatial travel. He can only use the sun heavenly shield to block the shockwaves and fly over with great difficulty. The heart of the universe was very mysterious. Qin Yun could sense that a powerful nomological force enveloped the area and maintained its operations. This power was most likely the power of the universe itself, mysterious and illusory. The cosmos law spirit should have been born in this place. He was chosen and has always maintained the operation of the cosmos law here. He is a magical spirit, so he can't leave this place completely. Once he successfully transforms into a human, he can leave. But once he leaves, what will happen to this place? Brother Taisha said. If he leaves, won't the core of the universe go out of control? Will it affect the entire universe? Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and looked at the behemoths around him. A chill surged in his heart. If these divine suns lost control and ran around, wouldn't he be in danger in this damned place? Can you still see the ninth divine sun? Old Brother Taisha hurriedly asked, can we rush over as fast as we can? The ninth divine sun can't leave that quickly, right? I will definitely be able to rush over. Qin Yun suddenly had an ominous premonition. The cosmos law spirit had already fused with the nine suns law spirit. Now that the cosmos law spirit had transformed into a human, it was equivalent to completely giving up his transcendent position in the heart of the universe. He wanted to go out in search of freedom and transcend the universe. Once he successfully left this place, the heart of the universe would definitely enter a temporary state of disorder. The consequences would be unimaginable. This was what Qin Yun was worried about. Therefore, he desperately sped up and headed for the ninth divine sun. He had to leave the heart of the universe with the ninth divine sun. He could not be trapped here. The little queen ant could bring him in, but she couldn't bring him out because the space inside was extremely complicated and powerful. It far exceeded the scope of the little queen ant's power. Qin Yun desperately flew for half a day before opening his super heavenly eye to take a look. He discovered that the ninth divine sun had already passed through the spatial wall. What's going on? Qin Yun's worst fears came true. It was naturally a good thing that the ninth divine sun could successfully descend into the divine wilderness. But the problem was that Qin Yun was still here. Once the cosmos law spirit left, this damned place would fall into chaos. F***ck me. Qin Yun cursed in his heart. He clearly came here to help the ninth divine sun smoothly descend into the divine wilderness. But now, it seems like he didn't need his help at all. Or perhaps, he should have stayed in the divine wilderness and waited for the ninth divine sun to descend before going in to help. Qin Yun finally understood why Siekiru and the others didn't want him to intervene, but he felt that he needed to intervene. Xiao Yuelon also felt the same way. He now knew his mistake. He shouldn't have secretly plotted with Yuelon on this matter. Don't go. Wait for me. Qin Yun shouted, but it was completely useless. Just like that, under the gaze of his super heavenly eye, the ninth divine sun squeezed out of the spatial wall with great difficulty and disappeared into the heart of the universe. Qin Yun, the worst thing has happened. But you must calm down. Old Brother Taisha said, maybe this isn't a bad thing for you. Suddenly, the super-huge divine sun's movement speed became very fast. Previously, these divine suns would move in one direction in an orderly manner. But now they suddenly sped up and rushed up, down, left and right. Boom, boom, boom. Some divine suns even collided with each other, causing intense energy to gush out. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Qin Yun used all his strength to activate the sun heavenly shield. Moreover, there are several layers of it that tightly wrapped around him. This kind of incomparably huge divine sun collision not only caused energy to erupt but also the fragments of the divine sun. That is the most terrifying thing. As soon as the universe's law spirit left this place, it indeed fell into disorder and became very chaotic. Qin Yun is like a grain of sand, continuously attacked by the eruption of energy. He is like a small boat in the raging and roaring vast ocean. The ninth divine sun appeared in the divine wilderness. The 9 myriad realms' divine suns have finally arrived. However, the divine king of the divine wilderness is absent at the most important moment. Xiao Yuelon came out of the 9th divine sun and immediately took out the soul-chasing talisman and the devil mirror to contact Qin Yun. However, she couldn't contact him. She is certain that Qin Yun is still in the heart of the universe. Little husband, your wife has tricked you badly. Your life is so tough you should be able to survive, right? Xiao Yuelon immediately felt a headache. She is extremely worried. Big sister, is big brother still in that damned place? Xiao Yurmei looks like she did something bad. She lowered her head and timidly said, "Go tell Sister Kiru and others, let them think of a way to save big brother." Chapter 3376. The two sisters were extremely anxious. They knew very well how terrifying a place like the heart of the universe could be once it lost control. Even though they knew that Qin Yun's body was very weak, they were still worried that something would happen to him. Let's go find Sister Kiru now. Xiao Yuelon knew that she would definitely be severely criticized, but in order to save Qin Yun in time, not to mention criticism, she was not even afraid of being tortured. Sister, do you have any way to ensure my brother's safety? I'm very worried about him. Xiao Yuemei's face is filled with sadness and worry, because she is also greatly responsible for what happened this time. Xiao Yuelon summoned her 9 Yin divine spirit. It flickered with a faint white light, as if it was carved from 9 small moons. Through the 9 Yin divine spirit, I can sense Xiao Yun's 9 Yang divine spirit. Even if Xiao Yun is in the heart of the universe, this connection will not be interrupted. As long as he is still alive, my 9 Yin divine soul will still be alive. If he dies, the 9 Yin divine soul will also die. Yuemei, don't worry. Xiao Yun is very strong, he won't die so easily. Xiao Yuelon pinched her little sister's cheek, then pulled her back to the 9th divine sun's core space. In the 9th divine sun's core space there was a bustling city. If Qin Yun were here, he would definitely marvel at the development of such a powerful nation in the core space. In the core space, in a beautiful manner. Just as Xiao Yuemei and Xiao Yuelon arrived, they saw a gray kitten. This is Xie Qiru's little gray cat. It has a very strong spatial ability, and was once an inscription beast. It has followed Xie Qiru for a long time. Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Yuemei are standing outside a small house in the middle of a garden. Sister Xiao Ro, we're looking for you. Xiao Yuemei sweetly shouted. Do you want me to think of a way to save Xiao Yun? Xie Qiru's gentle laughter came from inside. Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Yuemei are immediately shocked. They did not expect Xie Qiru to already know about this matter. Sister Xiaoro, are you still in seclusion? Xiao Yuelon whispered. Don't worry, Xiao Yun will be fine. I know exactly what you 2 little girls have been doing in private. Xie Qiru chuckled. Is Xiao Yun really going to be okay? The universe's core is definitely very terrifying right now. Xiao Yuemei said worriedly. Trapping Xiao Yun there is actually a good thing for him. If he's still in the deity desolate, he'll be in the greatest danger. Xie Qiru sighed and said, the origin returning realm he created is too perfect. Even space transformation realm experts cannot tolerate his origin returning realm. Xiao Yuemei and Xiao Yuelon suddenly felt a lot more at ease. They indeed know the attitude of those space transformation realm bigshots towards Qin Yun. Furthermore, the situation in the divine wilderness had changed drastically. It was best for a godly monarch like Qin Yun, who was covered in treasures, to hide. After the fusion of the universe law spirit and the nine yang law spirit, what is their current state? Xiao Yuelon asked. She and her sister are outside the door and did not go in. Because Xie Qiru is in seclusion cultivation, she cannot leave this small house during this period of time. After they fused, they called themselves Empyrean beyond the universe. When you see him, just politely call him Empyrean. When Xie Qiru mentioned this matter, she helplessly smiled and said, His temper is not very stable right now, it's best not to see them. At this time, a woman wearing tattered battle armor arrived. Her entire body is filled with killing intent, but she has a dreamy and beautiful appearance. Her beautiful eyes were originally filled with killing intent, but after seeing Xiao Yuelon, they immediately became gentle. Elder sister master, what happened to you? Xiao Yuelon asked in shock, seeing Lu Yushuyan's appearance. I fought with someone, I didn't lose nor win. Lu Yushuyan smiled, then stretched out her hands to pinch Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Yamei's cheeks and said with smile, You two girls did beautifully, you successfully trapped Xiao Yun in that place. When Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Yuemei heard this, they looked at each other with hidden bitterness in their eyes. So Xie Qiru and the others already knew and did not stop them from contacting Qin Yun. They deliberately wanted to lure Qin Yun into the universe core. You are so bad, I don't want to play with you anymore. Xiao Yuemei mumbled. Elder sister master, you are not kind. Xiao Yuelon lightly snorted, then pinched Lu Yushuyan's waist. Lu Yushuyan lightly smiled and said, Properly cultivate, I fought with 9 heaven law spirit before. This guy beat Xiao Yun up very miserably. I hope you can become stronger and then take turns to beat this guy up. Xiao Ro, wait until you come out of seclusion, you must beat up 9 heaven law spirit. Lu Yushuyan shouted towards the door. Elder sister Shuyan, when you have time, go back to the Myriad Realms Divine Palace. Recently, Myriad Heavens Divine Desolate will surely be in chaos. You are the god of slaughter, go back and help. Xie Qiru said again. I know. That baldy heavenly law spirit shouldn't be able to handle so many things. Lu Yushuyan finished speaking and left. Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Yuemei are kept in the dark. They are secretly unhappy. They can only think of a way to knock on the 9 heaven law spirits' sneak attack to vent their anger. Qin Yun is being tossed and turned inside the universe core. He knows that he won't die, but he doesn't feel good at all. Qin Yun, you must master the method to devour this energy, otherwise it will be too wasteful. Old Brother Taisher said, There are countless divine suns and also a large number of divine sun fragments, they are all top-notch materials. After the divine suns collided, many super-strong materials burst out. Qin Yun originally wanted to absorb the 9 sun divine spirit, but he failed. Everything here seems to be rejecting his 9 sun divine spirit. His nether sun is unable to devour even a bit of the energy here. Once the energy enters his body, it immediately runs out, it can't stay inside his body. I have a train of thought, do you want to hear it? Old Brother Taisher suddenly said. Let's hear it. Qin Yun is like a rubber ball, he is being battered by the energy from one side to the other, then from one side to the other. Anyway, he is gradually adapting to it. Inside the energy wave, even if he doesn't release Sun Heavenly Shield, he will be fine. At most he will feel a bit of burning pain. First, comprehend the Divine Sun cultivation method, improve it, use the energy here to refine the Divine Sun of your 9 Sun Divine Spirit. Second, find a method, use the energy here to refine all the Bloodline Heavenly Rune boxes, then fuse the Bloodline Heavenly Rune into one and refine it into the Divine King Heavenly Seal. Third, break through to Origin Realm here. You are now at the peak of Origin Realm, you should comprehend the next realm. Old Brother Taisher said. Qin Yun originally didn't have any clue, but after hearing Old Brother Taisher's words, his heart suddenly surged with motivation. If he can complete these 3 steps in such a vile environment, it will definitely allow him to greatly improve in all aspects. Chapter 3377. Some of the divine sons in the 9 Sun Divine Spirit are still in a weak state, and some have yet to be cultivated. The main reason is because Qin Yun is unable to obtain a large amount of energy. He currently had the core of the Heaven Poison Divine Sun, as well as the Sun Seed, but to cultivate a complete and powerful Heaven Poison Divine Sun, that was easier said than done. It required him to swallow a lot of energy. Although Xie was present, it was still too weak. He already has the Sun Seed of the Devil Sun, but to cultivate a Devil God Sun from the Sun Seed, this requires a lot of energy. Now that he was in the heart of the universe, it was equivalent to having an inexhaustible amount of energy. If he could find a way to use it, his 9 Yang Divine Spirits' Divine Sun would become stronger, and he might even be able to enter the Origin Returning Realm. Qin Yun begins studying the Divine Sun Cultivation Technique as well as the 9 Sun World Annihilation Sutra. These 2 techniques have been passed down since ancient times, and there aren't many people who can fully grasp them. Brother Taisher said, "Is the Divine Yang Cultivation Technique really useful?" Qin Yun was currently floating in the chaotic heart of the universe. It was unknown when he would calm down. The various evolutions in the universe could take tens of thousands of years to hundreds of millions of years, or even hundreds of millions of years. As long as there's a divine sun, it's useful. Old Brother Taisher said, "The divine Yang Dharma spirits in this universe can all comprehend the divine Yang cultivation technique on their own. However, every Dharma spirit's comprehension is different." "Alright, I understand." Qin Yun contacted Momo and asked her to pass all the runes of the Divine Sun cultivation technique to him. Momo also cultivated the Divine Sun cultivation technique. Although she was a little fairy, she could also cultivate such a powerful technique. However, the method she had comprehended was definitely suitable for a little elf like her to cultivate. It wasn't just Momo, the little queen ant and Yang were also cultivating, and they all cultivated in different ways. Ling Yuner, Shui Tianzi and Zi Qinqing were also comprehending. They had also comprehended their own divine sun cultivation technique in their ignorance. Even Qin Yun was unable to guide them in this kind of cultivation. They could only use a long period of time to comprehend and understand it. Qin Yun only told Ling Yuner about his situation. He did not tell Zi Qinqing and Shui Tianzi. They have been in seclusion frequently during this period of time. After they came into contact with the divine sun blood seed crystal, they gained new insight. Because they were with Qin Yun, they would come out of the 9 sun divine soul from time to accompany Qin Yun. Therefore, they would often hear Qin Yun's various insights on the returning to origin realm. Therefore, they also walked the returning to origin realm. In Qin Yun's mind, the divine sun cultivation technique, 9 sun world extermination scripture and imperial heaven divine art are intertwining with each other. He wanted to focus on the imperial divine art to overcome the difficulties of the divine sun cultivation art. Then, he would see if he could integrate the essence of the 9 sun world-destroying sutra. This would take up a lot of time. However, in the heart of the universe, time was extremely strange, different from the outside world. Especially now that the heart of the universe was in such a chaotic state, time and space were even more chaotic. Even old Brother Taisher was unable to calculate the difference in time between him and Deity Desolate. However, he was certain that the 9th Divine Sun had been formed here for a very long time. The 9 Suns Dharma Spirits, the Universe Dharma Spirits, the 9 Heavens Dharma Spirits, and the 9 Suns Divine Maiden might have spent a long time in the heart of the universe. Qin Yun did not know how many years had passed. During the process of gaining insight, he did not feel much time pass. When Qin Yun woke up from his meditation, he discovered that nothing had changed around him. It was still as chaotic as ever. What made him incredulous was that his body was gradually fusing with the chaotic environment of the heart of the universe, floating along with the many fragments. Qin Yun, I believe that there should be Dharma spirits inside those super-divine suns. Old Brother Taisher said, according to my observations during this period of time, from the shattered divine sun core fragments, there were once Dharma spirits residing in them. What about those divine sun Dharma spirits? Are they all dead? Qin Yun asked as he thought of something. They are not dead. It is possible that they have all taken human form and entered the ninth divine sun. Inside the ninth divine sun, there might be a large number of divine sun Dharma spirits that have taken human form. Old Brother Taisher said, this group of fellows will head to deity desolate through the ninth divine sun. Qin Yun shuddered. How many divine sun Dharma spirits would there be? The heart of the universe is most likely a divine sun cage. Those super-divine suns must have broken through the laws of the universe, so they were sealed in the heart of the universe. The nine suns law spirits and the universe law spirits persuaded the group of divine sun Dharma spirits to help them create a divine Sunday. Furthermore, everyone will work together to break through the spatial wall and head to deity desolate. Old Brother Taisher said again. All right, if that's the case. Then what kind of changes will deity desolate face? Qin Yun closed his eyes and could imagine how terrifying the group of divine sun Dharma spirits were in deity desolate. The fusion of the universe God race and the divine sun descendants has become very powerful. This shouldn't be a coincidence. It should be used to suppress the divine sun law spirit. The divine sun law spirits are all afraid of the divine sun descendant. Old Brother Taisher said again. Ancient beasts were also a type of divine sun law spirit. He hated the divine sun descendants very much. If they were at the same cultivation level, the divine sun law spirit might not be a match for the divine sun descendant. The universe law spirit and the nine suns law spirit have fused together, so their thinking must be very different from before. They will influence each other. But you must not forget that these two law spirits are very crazy fellows. Sometimes, for a single thought, they will do anything. Old Brother Taisher reminded. Qin Yun agreed with this point very much. As the two law spirits fought, they suddenly felt that they could fuse together, and then they really fused together. I will be on guard. Qin Yun nodded. How's your comprehension? Old Brother Taisher asked. I've gained a lot. I've already fused the Divine Sun Cultivation Technique into the Imperial Heaven Divine Technique. I should absorb the energy here. Qin Yun closed his eyes and circulated the Imperial Heaven Divine Technique. His Imperial Heaven Heart began to throb, using the Imperial Heaven Heart to circulate the Divine Sun Cultivation Technique. Right now, he is using the Imperial Heaven Divine Technique to activate the Divine Sun Cultivation Technique and absorb the energy through the Imperial Heaven Heart. Not long after, a black whirlpool appeared on Qin Yun's chest. Energy suddenly entered from all directions. What's terrifying is that after the surrounding energy gathered, it quickly turned into liquid. Then, the liquid condensed into crystals and infused into his Imperial Heaven Heart. Be careful, don't damage the Imperial Heaven Heart. Seeing this, Old Brother Taisher is extremely shocked. He immediately warned Qin Yun, afraid that he would make a mistake. Don't worry, I can guide this energy into the Nine Sun Divine Spirit at any time. Qin Yun's voice is calm. It can be seen that he has already guessed this situation. Do you want to refine the Nine Sun Divine Spirit's Divine Sun first or cultivate yourself first? Old Brother Taisher asked. At the same time, as soon as Qin Yun finished speaking, his Nine Sun Divine Spirit's Nether Sun Pearl lit up and a huge black whirlpool appeared above him. This is the spatial passageway opened by the Nether Sun Pearl. Qin Yun can use the Divine Sun Cultivation Technique to circulate the Nether Sun inside the Nether Sun Pearl and devour the energy here. Chapter 3378. Qin Yun discovered that he was more intimate with the environment. He was no longer rejected like before. He did not know what was going on. It was as if he was gradually being acknowledged by the cosmic core. Therefore, the energy he was absorbing was very smooth, and the energy around him was automatically fusing into higher quality energy for him to absorb. The heavenly poison divine sun was gradually forming. The various divine suns in the 9-yang divine spirit were gradually transforming according to Qin Yun's divine sun cultivation method. Qin Yun is refining these divine suns. Through the heart of the universe's energy, he is cleansing all of them. Not only that, Qin Yun's heart of imperial heaven is also frantically devouring energy. Furthermore, he has taken out the godly king heavenly seal and all the bloodline heavenly pattern boxes to refine. The heart of imperial heaven was becoming stronger, but Qin Yun did not feel that he was becoming stronger. Qin Yun still felt that it was very easy for him to cultivate in two aspects at the same time. He did not feel that it was too much of a burden. This kind of effect was something he could not have imagined before. "You look like everything is going well." Old brother Taisher was also very surprised. "Yes, I seem to be gradually integrating into this environment, but I don't know why." Qin Yun was also very puzzled about this. "There is only one possibility." Old brother Taisher suddenly became excited and said, "There are no longer any living beings in the heart of the universe. Originally, the divine suns here all had lost spirits, but these lost spirits have all left. In addition, the lost spirits of the universe have transcended the universe." When Qin Yun heard Taisher's words, his body couldn't help but tremble. He said, "Could it be that I'm going to inherit the universe's lost spirit? I don't know, perhaps the heart of the universe will bestow upon you a new responsibility." Old brother Taisher said, "I wonder if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You are different from other Dharma spirit. You are like a universe Dharma spirit. That is a Dharma spirit that was born after the laws of the universe appeared. You, on the other hand, only came into contact with the heart of the universe after becoming a powerful being." Qin Yun opened his eyes and looked at his surroundings. Although it was extremely chaotic here, with all sorts of gigantic divine sun fragments colliding with each other, causing violent fluctuations, but upon closer inspection, there was an indescribable order to it. It looked like a chaotic collision, but it felt like there was a force restraining them from behind. Otherwise, it would have been even more chaotic. Without the universe Dharma spirit, the heart of the universe will descend into chaos, but this chaos seems to be under the control of the laws of the universe. It won't detonate the entire heart of the universe. Furthermore, there must be a hidden power restraining them from the shadows. Old brother Taisher said, "The laws of the universe are everywhere. The chaos here has to follow the laws of the universe." Qin Yun closed his eyes. As he cultivated his divine sun, he tried to gain insight into the laws circulating within the heart of the universe. While he was meditating, he didn't know how much time had passed. The divine sun in his 9-sun divine soul had been cultivated better and better. It was much stronger than before. Not only is the divine sun powerful, even the 9-sun divine spirit has evolved and become stronger. Zi Qingqing, Ling Yuner, Shui Tianzi, and the others, as well as Yang Yang and the other little cuties, have all received great improvement. Qin Yun did not know of these changes. He was immersed in comprehending the universe's laws. He did not even know that the originally chaotic heart of the universe had already stabilized. Even though the heart of the universe had lost control and a large number of divine suns had collided, there were still many divine suns that were intact. But gradually, these divine suns fused with each other, and all the fragments were absorbed by the largest divine Sunday. At this moment, the heart of the universe's space no longer has the scene of countless divine suns. There are only 9 gigantic transparent crystal balls. These crystal balls only emit weak light and they are larger than any super divine Sunday. At this moment, they are floating in the darkness of the heart of the universe's space, revolving around Qin Yun, who is floating in the center of the heart of the universe. The moment Qin Yun opened his eyes, he was shocked by everything around him. He is sitting on the head of a gigantic human statue. This human statue is him, the imprint of the godly king Heavenly Seal. The godly king Heavenly Seal has already fused with all the bloodline heavenly pattern boxes, but Qin Yun did not feel any change in strength. Qin Yun looked around, took out the divine mirror of primal beginning and asked, "Old brother Taisher, what's going on? How long have I been cultivating?" He had always been comprehending the universe's laws. He did not feel that he had gained much. It was as if he was about to grasp something but he could not grasp it. However, old brother Taisher did not make a sound. "Qin Yun, my mission has been accomplished." Old brother Taisher's voice did not come out from the divine mirror of primal beginning but echoed in the heart of the universe's space. Qin Yun was taken aback and immediately asked, "What mission?" "To find a qualified candidate." "You are that candidate now, you are qualified," old brother Taisher said. "Wait, why didn't you mention this before?" "Oh right, isn't there still a primordial Taisher in the hands of the nine-yang law spirit?" Qin Yun is completely confused. "My memories are gradually awakening. Now, I am the primordial Taisher. My mission is to find or promote a qualified candidate," old brother Taisher said again. "All right, I am a qualified candidate, then what do I need to do? And where are you going?" Qin Yun asked. "I need to find another candidate. And you will stay here and become the new universe law spirit." Old brother Taisher sighed and said, "I only learned of this later. From today onwards, you must abandon your body and become a law spirit." "No," Qin Yun immediately shouted. "He still wants to return to the divine desolate." "It's not up to you. Wait patiently for the inheritance to descend. Goodbye." After old brother Taisher finished speaking, his voice did not appear again. Qin Yun looked at the divine mirror of primordial beginning in his hand and could not help but let out a long sigh. Old brother Taisher was copied by him, but he never expected that he would awaken the consciousness of the primordial Taisher in the end. Back then, this old brother Taisher wanted to destroy the primordial Taisher, but in the end, just like the nine-yang law spirit and the universe law spirit, the two fused together. Qin Yun put away the divine king Heavenly Seal and sensed the changes in his body. He is still at the great perfection stage of the origin realm. His mental power and soul also did not increase. The nine-yang divine spirit already has 8 divine sons, plus the heavenly poison divine sun and heavenly devil divine Sunday. He tried but he still could not open the last pearl. He doesn't know what is going on because with his current strength, he should have been able to open it long ago. His body and soul did not become stronger, but the imperial heaven heart has undergone a terrifying change. It seems to have become the divine sun blood seed crystal. Qin Yun still does not dare to confirm it. "Qin Yun, you are qualified. From today onwards, you are the new universe law spirit. You will control the order of this new universe. This universe is formed by the fusion of many universes. You will name it." Suddenly a voice appeared. Qin Yun is very shocked and asked, "Who are you?" "You don't need to know who I am. You are even more outstanding than the previous universe law spirit. I believe you will definitely make this universe even more prosperous." The voice said again, "I don't want to inherit, I want to return to the divine desolate." Qin Yun shouted. The divine desolate has already transcended and become an independent existence. It does not belong to any universe. The voice said, "With your current strength, I'm afraid you won't be able to adapt if you go back." Chapter 3379. Is my current strength very weak? Qin Yun was puzzled. he had been cultivating here for an unknown period of time. Although his body and soul had not significantly strengthened, his 9-yang divine spirit and godly king heavenly seal had advanced by leaps and bounds. Yes, your current strength is not enough. Although the return origin realm you comprehended is very outstanding, but this path is too difficult to walk and the future is uncertain. The voice continued, you have to be clear that after the divine desolate transcends the universe, their cultivation will not be restricted. With an environment like the divine desolate, do you think their cultivation speed will be slow? Qin Yun understood that in the heart of the universe, he was restricted by his cultivation level. He was suppressed by the universe laws here, so his cultivation level could not increase too quickly. If he wanted to increase his cultivation level, he had to think of ways to bypass the universe laws. In the divine desolate, there were no such restrictions. He did not know how much time had passed. Even if it was not too long, there were 9 myriad world divine suns in the divine desolate. The living beings there would definitely grow quickly. Qin Yun did not think of this. The problem was that he did not know how long the divine desolate had developed. Also, if you go to the divine desolate, you will no longer be the ruler there. There are laws that belong to you. Do you think you can withstand the power of 9 myriad world divine suns? Furthermore, the 9 myriad world divine suns there have become even more powerful. The voice said again, I am the godly king of the divine desolate. Qin Yun said, and I have an important mission. I want to destroy the descendants of the divine sun there. The myriad world divine suns of the divine desolate will face the threat of the descendants of the divine sun. Without me, the divine desolate will not last long. The voice suddenly laughed and said, You are too naive. Qin Yun immediately realized that the current situation of the divine desolate might have undergone a huge change. Who exactly are you? Qin Yun asked. I am the master of the universe. Do you know why the 9-yang law spirit and the universe law spirit can take most of the energy from here? Do you really think that my laws can't restrain them? Or is it that I can't stop the divine desolate from becoming independent? The master of the universe laughed. Qin Yun had thought of this problem before. In such a powerful universe, the universe law spirit and 9-yang law spirit were too insignificant in front of this huge universe. However, the actions of these law spirits were clearly against the laws of the universe, yet there was not much resistance. Why did you allow them to go out independently? Qin Yun asked. They agreed to take away all the descendants of the divine sun race. The descendants of the divine suns in the myriad worlds are a huge threat. It was because of my negligence that they were allowed to grow. It's not that I can't destroy them, it's just that it's too difficult to deal with them. Secondly, they handed you over to me. You are a successor that I am very satisfied with. The Universe Master said, not only did they take away the descendants of the godly sun race, but they also took away a large number of law spirits who were filled with resentment towards this universe. They can reduce the hostility of the entire universe. I want to go to the heavenly divine wilderness. Qin Yun remained resolute. I have been observing the heavens' divine wilderness. The descendants of the divine sun have already completed the final stage of their transformation. I originally thought that the Cosmos God race would gain the upper hand. Who would have thought that the Cosmos God race would be suppressed in the end? The Universe Master sighed. The Cosmos God race was created by me. I originally thought that it was used to restrain the descendants of the Divine Sun race, fusing with the souls of the descendants of the Divine Sun race before being controlled by the Cosmos God race. When Qin Yun heard this news, he was even more shocked. He previously thought so too. After the descendants of the Divine Sun race fused with the Cosmos God race, they would use the body of the Cosmos God race, and the Cosmos God race would call themselves the Cosmos God race. Qin Yun thought that the Cosmos God race would become the overlord of the heavens' divine wilderness. Who would have thought that they would still be defeated in the end? The Cosmos God race has now become the livestock of the Divine Son race. In the end, they are kept as food by the descendants of the Divine Son race. The descendants of the Divine Son race have found a way to eat the Cosmos God race. After that, they will grow strong bodies and can leave the Divine Son race. The Universe Master said. Qin Yun was alarmed. There was actually such a process. Then what about the myriad worlds' divine court? And my 4 divine sons, how are they now? Qin Yun hurriedly asked. The myriad worlds' divine court is still there, but it is no longer yours. As for your 4 divine sons, they have been taken over. All 9 myriad worlds' divine sons are controlled by the descendants of the Divine Son race. The Universe Master said. Qin Yun found it hard to believe that the myriad worlds' divine court was no longer his myriad worlds' divine court. It was equivalent to changing the people inside or being controlled. After the Universe Law Spirit and 9 Sun Law Spirit fused, they did nothing? Qin Yun was furious. They were locked in the ancient wilderness. The ancient wilderness has now become a hell. Those who disobeyed the Divine Son race have all been captured by the myriad worlds' divine court and thrown into the ancient wilderness hell prison. What is laughable is that the passage to and from the ancient wilderness was opened by the 2 law spirits. The Universe Master sneered. I knew that they wouldn't have a good ending after making the heavens' divine wilderness independent. Qin Yun clenched his fist. He still had friends and family in the heavens' divine wilderness. He wanted to return even more. Qin Yun, you might have once had an important mission, but after the 9 Sun Law Spirit and the Universe Law Spirit fused, this mission disappeared. You should stay here and help me manage this universe. Not everyone has this kind of opportunity, and I will give you enough authority and freedom. The Universe Master persuaded. I have too many things that I can't let go of. I have to go to the heavens' divine wilderness. Qin Yun shook his head. Do you know why I set up the laws to limit the cultivation of living beings? And also to recover energy after a period of time and to destroy large divine suns? The Universe Master asked. Qin Yun shook his head. It is to redistribute the energy between heaven and earth. When large divine suns are destroyed, many smaller divine suns will be formed. If not for this, the 9 desolation would not have appeared, and all kinds of life forms would not have appeared. If there were no restrictions, there would always be a group of life forms that reached the strongest level. Then, they would obtain resources even faster. At that time, they could easily devour a divine sun and a piece of land, including the life forms on it. And this is very unfair to weak life forms. Weak life forms that have just been born can't face such a transcendent existence. The Universe Master said. Everything is for balance. Qin Yun said. Yes, but in the heavens' divine wilderness, there is no such balance. Once those supreme beings feel that their resources are depleted, they will devour everything. Eating humans and whatnot is a common occurrence for them. After that, they will develop a vicious aura. The Universe Master said. Then all the more I want to return to the heavens' divine wilderness. Qin Yun said. Okay, I can send you back. But you have to promise me one thing. After everything is done, you have to come back to accept the inheritance. The Universe Master said, as long as you promise, I will send you back. But you have to think carefully. There is a high chance that you will die, and I can't interfere with matters outside my universe. Chapter 3380. Qin Yun is very puzzled, especially the current existence of Divine Desolate. How could it be so special? The Master of the Universe was so powerful, yet he couldn't intervene? Why did I die? Qin Yun had experienced many things over the years. He had also experienced many dangers, but he was still alive. Especially now, his physical body was very strong. He felt that if he wanted to die, it would be quite difficult. You won't have anyone to rely on in the gods desolate. In the past, there was the 9 sons Dharma spirit and the 9 sons divine maiden. However, the 9 sons Dharma spirit has already been cast into the ancient wilderness. The 9 sons goddess can only hide in the divine moon of the heavens, unable to protect herself. The Master of the Universe said, "My power is unable to leave this universe. At that time, I will only be able to watch you walk step by step towards death without being able to do anything. I don't need to rely on others. I can rely on myself." Qin Yun was filled with confidence. In his eyes, God Desolate was his hometown. He had to go back. Moreover, now that he knew of the terrible situation in God Desolate and that God Moon was in danger, he had to go back even more. Go to God Desolate. If you are really about to die, the 9 Sun Divine Soul's 9th pearl will save your life. The Master of the Universe said. Did you put the thing in this bead? Qin Yun exclaimed. That's right, I did put something in. Otherwise, why do you think the 9 Sun Divine Spirit is able to continuously evolve? And it can even affect the evolution of the 9 Yin Divine Spirit? The Master of the Universe said, the thing in the 9th pearl was not placed there by the 9 Yang Dharma Spirit, but by me. Qin Yun looked at his 9 Yang Divine Soul. He never expected the Lord of the Universe to have noticed him many years ago. When you were cultivating before, I reforged your 9 Yang Divine Spirit and made some improvements to the 9th pearl. There's a divine sun inside. You can't see the 9th pearl, but you can draw out the power of the divine sun from it. The Master of the Universe said, It seems like you already knew that I would return to the divine desolate heavens. Said Qin Yun. That's how you are. The Master of the Universe sighed. But I still have a glimmer of hope. The God's Sun in the 9th pearl? What kind of God's Sun is it? Qin Yun asked. Then, he looked at the 9 gigantic spherical crystals in the heart of the universe. Your divine sun. When you are strong enough, you will know what kind of divine sun it is. The Master of the Universe said, Do you see the 9 divine suns here? These are all divine sun blood seed crystals. Qin Yun was immediately alarmed. He had suspected that it was the divine sun blood seed crystal, but he never expected it to be true. There are many divine suns in the universe, but after these divine suns evolve into Dharma spirits, these divine suns and Dharma spirits want to devour the power of the universe. The birth of the divine sun was originally to give birth to a large number of living beings. They did not achieve this. Instead, they constantly devoured the divine sun and finally escaped from this universe. Therefore, those divine suns were imprisoned here. The Master of the Universe said, The same goes for the bloodline heavenly pattern box? Qin Yun asked. More or less. The Lord of the Universe sighed. The bloodline heavenly pattern boxes were originally small universes, but they were sealed and turned into bloodline heavenly pattern boxes. They floated around the universe, spreading life seeds everywhere. They can influence the evolution of living beings. I was the one who secretly modified them. Now, the bloodline heavenly pattern boxes were fused into the godly King Heaven seal. Qin Yun, don't show off too much in the gods desolate. Although your various concealment arts are powerful, they are only powerful in this universe. They won't work in the gods desolate. Wherever the sun shines, you have nowhere to hide. The Lord of the Universe said. Then, will I be discovered immediately if I go to the gods desolate? Qin Yun realized that the gods desolate's laws were in the hands of the divine sun descendants. This was very disadvantageous to him. As long as you don't stand out and keep a low profile, you won't. It all depends on what you choose to do. If you go and announce the return of the godly monarchs in a high profile, you will definitely die even faster. The Lord of the Universe sneered. When that happens, it will be too late for regret. I will take note. Qin Yun nodded. He could only choose to believe in the Lord of the Universe. He had to think of the overall strength of the gods desolate as a whole. He could not be as fearless as before when he went to the gods desolate. "How many years has it been since I left the gods desolate?" asked Qin Yun. "Not that long, just a few hundred years. To me, it was the blink of an eye. However, in that short period of time, the divine sun descendants in the gods desolate have become very powerful," said the Lord of the Universe. Qin Yun was rendered speechless. Just a few hundred years? Of course, to Qin Yun, a few hundred years was indeed not long. It was considered very short, much less to the Lord of the Universe. "Then what about me here?" asked Qin Yun again. "Just a few hundred years." The Lord of the Universe said, "I can open the passageway now and let you head to the gods desolate. Are you ready?" "I want a stronger weapon." Qin Yun felt that the Lord of the Universe was so awesome that he would definitely give him a very powerful weapon. The weapons in the gods desolate are even more powerful. The materials there are also better than those in my universe. Furthermore, my weapon is just scrap metal there. The Lord of the Universe said, "Even I will become trash if I go there." Qin Yun was even more puzzled. What had become of the gods desolate? "All right then, send me there." Qin Yun had no choice but to investigate. He put away his godly monarch heavenly seal. He did not know if it could still be used in the gods desolate. The Lord of the Universe quickly opened a passageway. Qin Yun entered the passageway and in a blink of an eye, he arrived in a scorching desert. The 9 myriad realms divine suns in the sky were incomparably huge and emitted intense sunlight. Qin Yun was certain that these were the myriad realms divine suns of the gods desolate. He could identify the energy aura. However, what left him in disbelief was that his entire body was burning from the sunlight. Not long after, his skin turned red and then began to crack. "What's going on? My beginning return body is actually unable to withstand the sunlight here?" Qin Yun secretly tried to sense the energy of the myriad realms' divine suns, but he could not. He could not absorb energy from the gods desolate. Qin Yun could only absorb energy from the white divine sun in the white yang pearl to recover. He circulated the power of no power in his body and lifted his body up to fly. He could fly. He immediately hurried on his way and secretly used the heavenly script. He could use it, but it was not very powerful. Qin Yun did not understand what was going on. He could only leave the scorching desert first. The gods desolate had undergone earth-shattering changes in the past few hundred years. The powerful races and major factions of the past would definitely have been wiped out, no longer existing. The magic mirror and the like would definitely be gone. Qin Yun took out a large number of soul-chasing talismans, but there was no reaction. He had just arrived in the gods desolate not long ago, and he could already feel that he was not used to this place. Chapter 3381. Qin Yun was sure that this was God desolate, but he seemed to be repelled by this environment. One had to know that he could feel an affinity with the fourth god sun in the past. Now, all the light emitted by the myriad realms god sun made him feel a burning pain. "Oh right, I once captured some cosmos gods." Qin Yun took out the outer shell that sealed the ancient beast. Many cosmos gods were sealed inside. They were all universe transformation realm experts who fused with the souls of God Sun descendant. Other than that, there were 2 Dharma spirit sons. Qin Yun looked at the outer shell and discovered that the 2 Dharma spirit sons were dead. They were killed by those cosmos gods, but their array discs were still there. He took out the 2 array discs and released another cosmos god. What shocked him was that the moment this cosmos god came out, his body was covered in flames and he screamed in pain. What is going on? Didn't this guy have the soul of a cosmos god? Why did he die the moment he came out? Qin Yun was incomparably shocked. This god desolate seemed to have some sort of powerful law energy that seemed to be resisting against the life forms from the outside. cosmos gods were naturally not life forms from the outside. But after this god desolate became independent from the cosmos, it became a new environment. From that moment on, a new law appeared. Qin Yun and the other cosmos gods were not in God desolate when the new law appeared. Therefore, when they appeared in the divine wasteland, they were treated as aliens by the mysterious nomological power, or perhaps, because the nomological power affected the power of the divine wasteland and the divine sun of the myriad worlds, foreign beings could not adapt to the energy here and would eventually die. This was mainly to prevent the invasion of foreign lifeforms. The current rulers of God Desolate and Myriad Realms God Sun were the descendants of God Sun. In the past, the descendants of God Sun were foreign lifeforms used to exterminate the invaders of various God Sun world. Now, they naturally had to prevent others from using this method to exterminate them. Even though I won't die immediately, it is not easy to survive here. Qin Yun roughly understood the situation and released a barrier to isolate himself from the energy of God Desolate. He tried his best to prevent the rays of Myriad Realms God Sun from penetrating his body. Otherwise, it would be very uncomfortable. He released an energy barrier to isolate the energy from the sunlight. Indeed, it was much more comfortable. If Yun and the rest want to come out, they cannot be exposed to the sunlight. Otherwise, it will be very dangerous. Qin Yun was considering whether or not he should take out the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. He was now very cautious and began to recall what the Master of the Universe had once said. The Lord of the Universe had once said that any divine artifact from another universe would become scrap metal in the divine wilderness. Qin Yun immediately took out a pile of divine weapons from a warehouse inside the 9-sun divine spirit. In the past, even if these divine swords and divine sabers were not extremely powerful weapons, they were still top-notch weapons that were worth a lot of money. Previously, when they were in the 9-sun divine spirit, these divine weapons were still fine. However, after they were taken out, they gradually became rusty, as if they were corroded by something. In a short moment they became very shabby and really became scrap iron. Not even foreign materials? Qin Yun was shocked once again. Fortunately, he did not take out the treasures that had accompanied him for many years. Otherwise, they would immediately become scrap metal. Earlier, Qin Yun used energy to wrap around those divine weapons. He tried his best to not let the sunlight energy touch them. However, as long as they are exposed to the divine desolate, they will quickly decay. The omnipresent power of laws will rapidly decay any matter that doesn't belong to the new divine wilderness era. Qin Yun roughly imagined the operation of this law. Actually, it was equivalent to him releasing a gravity domain that he could control. The heavy things inside the domain would become light and the light things would become heavy. The moment he entered this domain, the weight of any object would change according to the gravity law he set. Qin Yun was pondering what kind of things could not be changed by the new divine wilderness law. The new divine wilderness was formed based on the great cosmos. It was impossible to completely abandon the laws of the great cosmos. Otherwise, the new divine wilderness would not have been formed and would definitely retain part of the laws of the previous cosmos. Qin Yun looked at himself. Even though he felt uncomfortable, he did not immediately burn and die in pain. Those cosmos gods immediately died. Inscription. Qin Yun's eyes lit up. His body was fused with many kinds of inscription spirits, as well as all kinds of totem runes and heavenly runes. It could be said that his body was engraved with all kinds of runes inside and outside. His bones, heart, and flesh all have them. Inscription has not changed in this world. Whether it is the myriad realms divine sun or the various treasures in the divine wilderness, or the operation of the sun, moon and stars, they are all inseparable from inscription. Qin Yun was very clear that the composition of all kinds of large energy had inscription. For example, the core of the divine sun was originally a core formed by interweaving heavenly runes. The composition of an extremely large divine sun was originally a small lump of energy. It might be a divine universe golden stone or some other small energy stone. Due to the occasional occurrence of inscription, it would gradually grow into a lump of heavenly rune. Finally, the heavenly rune would absorb energy from all directions and gradually become bigger. After hundreds of millions of years, it would become a divine Sunday. Furthermore, the original heavenly rune would evolve into a huge core. Star rune, moon rune, sun rune, the majority of inscription were born from these three kinds of celestial runes. Humph, the new divine wilderness is only SOSO. Want to be independent, have the guts to create your own inscription structure. Reconstruct all the runes of divine wilderness and myriad realms divine sun. I'm afraid this is impossible, right? Qin Yun sneered inwardly. In other aspects, Qin Yun might not dare to say that he was very strong, but in the aspect of inscription, he was absolutely a professional. Old brother Taisher, it doesn't matter, we still have cute little MOMO. What's more, my inscription spirits are about to rust. I haven't used them for a long time. Qin Yun took a deep breath. He finally found something to rely on to establish a foothold in the new divine wilderness. Whether or not he can restore the prestige of the divine king, he will have to rely on his inscription technique. I wonder how Heavenly Tao's child and Heavenly Tao Law Spirit are doing. Qin Yun is rather worried about the Heavenly Tao altar. If the Heavenly Tao altar is destroyed, it will be very difficult for him to contact Ancient Desolate in the future. The power of the Heavenly Tao altar and Imperial Heaven Pawnshop should be able to penetrate Ancient Desolate. After the fusion of Nine Suns Law Spirit and Universe Law Spirit, they still can't defeat the descendant of Divine Sun. They still miscalculated. I can only rely on myself now. Qin Yun looked at his Nine Sun Divine Spirit. He suddenly felt that leaving him in the universe core was not a bad thing. At least it allowed him to refine 8 incomparably powerful divine suns. With the energy support of these 8 divine suns, even if he can't absorb energy from the new divine wilderness, he can still maintain his powerful body. Chapter 3382. 9 moons gradually rose in the sky. Seeing these 9 moons, Qin Yun was shocked for a while. No, they are much smaller than the original celestial moon. Qin Yun looked carefully and could confirm that the divine moon still had the power of the celestial moon. However, it was already restrained by the power of the laws of the celestial desolate land. It should be the original celestial moon that separated most of its energy and condensed the 9 moons. It was mainly to form a large array to resist the invasion of powerful enemies. On the ground, Qin Yun could see the 9 celestial moons in the sky, forming a large array. Although there were 9 celestial moons in the sky, the light was very comfortable. It was not like the daytime, where it was suffocating. The light of the 9 celestial moons did not make the night as bright as day. Most of the celestial desolate land was still shrouded in darkness. I have to cultivate. I'm at the return origin realm perfection. It's time to comprehend the next realm. Now that I'm in such a special environment, it's a great opportunity for me to comprehend and break through. Qin Yun was now in the celestial desolate land, but like a stranger, he was rejected by the land he wanted to protect. At the same time, he had left the universe that had given him great power. At this moment, he had a deeper understanding of the return to origin, and at the same time, he longed for the realm after the return to origin realm perfection. Qin Yun began to absorb the remaining divine sun blood seed, as well as the divine sun blood seed crystal he had obtained previously. He directly placed the divine sun blood seed crystal into his spiritual nether moon to devour and refine. He was at the return to origin realm perfection, and his physical body was very strong. However, his soul did not improve much. After many years of cultivation in the heart of the universe, he had only comprehended the heart of the universe and refined the divine Son of the Nine-Yang Divine Spirit. He had already refined the Divine King's heavenly seal. In the past few hundred years, his cultivation was mainly to comprehend the return to origin realm and find a breakthrough point for the next realm. When he was in the heart of the universe, he found a breakthrough point, but there was no opportunity. It was as if he was bound by something. Now that he had returned to the celestial desolate land that was outside the universe, he seemed to have escaped his shackles. Transcendent realm. I'm here. Qin Yun did not know why, but the divine sun blood seed crystal was actually refined into the spiritual nethermoon's core. His soul advanced by leaps and bounds in the blink of an eye. After that, his soul began to return to its original state, turning into a seed before erupting. A new moon rose up in his spiritual sea. This new moon was neither the nether moon nor the divine moon, but the crystal moon. It was the crystallization of the mystic moon blood seed. It was still very small, but it gave his soul great power. The appearance of the divine moon blood seed crystal in his mind seemed to illuminate his entire world. It was as if it was guiding him forward in the darkness. Every time the crystal moon flashed, it stimulated his body and soul. His body and soul were quickly immersed in a strong resonance. Here's my chance. Transcend. Qin Yun's soul and body seemed to roar at the same time. Then, he crazily absorbed energy from the divine Son of the Nine-Sun Divine Spirit to refine his body. The sun had risen, and the 9 divine suns of the myriad worlds rose into the sky. At noon, Qin Yun sat cross-legged in the scorching desert. When he opened his eyes, he looked up at the myriad world divine sun in the sky. He was now able to look straight at it. He had already adapted to the myriad world divine desolate. He did not fuse with the laws of the divine wilderness of the heavens. Instead, he was outside of the divine wilderness of the heavens and would not be affected by the laws here. This was the transcendent realm, transcending everything. I wonder how strong I am now. Qin Yun did not have any concept of his own strength, mainly because he could not find a comparison. Forget it, I'll find everyone first. Chapter 3383. It was already dawn. Qin Yun couldn't see the divine moon, nor could he sense any of the divine moon's power. In the past, even in broad daylight, the divine moon's energy still existed. If he wanted to find the divine moon clan, going directly to the divine moon would be the fastest. However, Qin Yun wasn't sure if he had been discovered by the divine sun clan's descendants. Logically speaking, as long as he was exposed to the sunlight, he should be discovered by the divine sun clan's descendants. The Lord of the Universe said that it would be difficult for him to survive in the divine wilderness because of this consideration. However, Qin Yun had been in the divine wilderness for a day. If the divine sun clan's descendants really discovered him, they would have already made a move. Let's not go to the divine moon first. I'll find everyone in the divine wilderness first. Qin Yun didn't know the specific situation of the divine wilderness. Although the divine sun clan's descendants controlled the 9 myriad realms' divine suns, they didn't kill all the living beings in the divine wilderness. They might not be able to kill them all, or they might cause the divine wilderness to collapse after killing them all. This divine wilderness had undergone many evolutions and was now a very powerful existence. There was a mysterious Earth Law Spirit. He just didn't know the current state of the Earth Law Spirit. Qin Yun ran in a direction in the hot desert. He wanted to get out of this desert. 4 days passed, and still no one came to kill Qin Yun. Did the divine sun clan's descendants not discover my existence? Qin Yun began to wonder if he wouldn't be detected after entering the transcendent realm. Or, the divine sun clan's descendants' control over the divine wilderness is not as comprehensive as I thought. Qin Yun was still on his way. In the past few days, his consumption was very small. After entering the transcendent realm, he didn't need to release his power to resist the sunlight here. It could be said that he didn't consume much energy. In order to relieve his boredom, he also told Ling Yun-er and the others about the divine wilderness. Ling Yun-er was very worried about Qin Yun, but she couldn't come out. She only hoped to enter the transcendent realm quickly so that she could adapt to the environment of the divine wilderness. The desert was lifeless. Qin Yun ran in the desert for a few days. It was terribly quiet. He couldn't take out the sky leaping shuttle. When he used the space leap step, he couldn't travel through space. Flying in the air consumed a lot of energy, so he could only run on the ground. I can still use the invisibility technique and the mystic penetration divine art. Qin Yun gave it a try. These two moves were very practical, especially the invisibility art. It could be used with the invisibility rune, allowing him to hide even better. The fifth day, Qin Yun sensed a trace of energy fluctuation. There seems to be a great battle ahead. He immediately concealed himself and excitedly ran over. After coming to the divine wilderness for a few days, Qin Yun even suspected that there was no one left in the divine wilderness. Not long after, he could sense that the commotion was getting stronger and stronger. Sure enough, someone was fighting. Qin Yun could already see a group of experts fighting in front of him. The larger group was a group of people in blue armor. There were more than 1,000 of them. The smaller group was the group in gold armor. There were only 300 of them. However, the blue team, who had the advantage in numbers, was in a very sorry state. They were being suppressed by the 300 golden armored people. Qin Yun could also see the wreckage of a flying ship on the ground in front of him. Most likely, the 1,000 or so blue-armored people in the flying ship had been attacked and had no choice but to fight back. It's a descendant of the divine sun god. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. The golden-armored people were the descendants of the god sun. Although they were different from before, Qin Yun was still very familiar with the energy fluctuation. And the blue-armored people that the descendants of the god sun were currently attacking were cosmos gods. Qin Yun had previously learned from the Universe Master that the descendants of the god sun reared the cosmos gods as livestock to cultivate their perfect and powerful fleshy bodies. Although he knew about it, Qin Yun could not help but feel shocked seeing the two sides fighting. Especially the strength of the descendants of the god sun. They were actually much stronger than the cosmos gods. These two groups of people used to have a cooperative relationship. Furthermore, they worked very closely and even fused together. Who would have thought that in just a few hundred years, they would become like this? Qin Yun sighed. Previously, he thought that the alliance of these two races would be very terrifying. He did not expect that the descendants of the god sun would be the final winner. Qin Yun did not plan to take action because there were too many descendants of the god sun. He did not know if he could defeat them. Furthermore, he did not sympathize with the cosmos gods. After all, this was the doing of the cosmos gods. If they did not agree to fuse with the descendants of the god sun, the descendants of the god sun would not have developed to this stage. Furthermore, Qin Yun could not be too high profile. This was what the Universe Master had warned him. He watched the battle from afar. He thought that the cosmos gods would be captured and brought back. But after those cosmos gods were defeated, their armors were stripped off. Then, the palms of the descendants of the god sun turned into two huge mouths. They bit on the bodies of the cosmos gods and began eating them. An hour later, more than 1,000 cosmos gods were eaten. The descendants of the god sun don't seem strong, unless they have the help of the myriad realms god sun in the deity desolate, making them stronger? When Qin Yun was observing the battle, he carefully sensed the energy ripples. He discovered that the strength of the 300 descendants of the god sun should not have reached the space transformation realm. After finishing eating, the descendants of the god sun kept the armors and bones before flying away. They did not fly towards the god's son, 1,000 against 300, and they could not even injure a single one of them. The cosmos gods are too useless. After Qin Yun and the descendants of the god's son left, he returned to the battlefield and further investigated the energy here. Those fellows indeed borrowed the power of the myriad realms god's son during the battle. Qin Yun could sense the energy aura of the myriad realms god's Sunday. There's someone. Qin Yun was alarmed. He opened his heavenly eye. After reaching the transcendent realm, the heavenly eye was still very useful. He saw an olive-shaped object under the desert. It was about the height of 2 people and was very deep under the sand. At this moment, that object exploded from the middle, and a person climbed out from within. Who? A power rushed up from the desert, and a cold-looking youth appeared. The youth wore white armor. His skin was white, and he was handsome with a pair of sword-like eyebrows. In his hand was a white longsword. "Clansman, I will avenge you." The youth looked at the dried bloodstains and broken bones in the desert. His voice trembled with sorrow and anger. The youth looked around and suddenly discovered footprints on the desert. He immediately became vigilant and shouted, "Evil insect, come out!" Qin Yun thought about it and decided to show himself. After he appeared, he asked, "What is an evil insect?" Just as he finished asking, the youth stabbed with his sword. This sword was very fast, and its speed was as fast as lightning. However, in Qin Yun's eyes, it was very slow. Qin Yun gently raised his hand and grabbed the youth's longsword. The youth immediately let go of the longsword and turned around to run. Soon after, the longsword suddenly exploded, producing a large amount of stinky black smoke. Chapter 3384. Qin Yun did not expect that this young man seemed to be attacking, but in reality, he was escaping. What shocked him the most was that the black fog released by the sword was very strange. Not only did it make him lose his vision, he could not even release his mental energy. Poison! Qin Yun immediately retracted his mental energy. He could feel his body and soul feeling very tired. He immediately defended himself and forced out the poisonous gas that invaded his body. Then, he used his fleshy body's power to rush out of this poisonous gas region. After rushing out, he leaped into the sky and released his heaven's eyes to look down on this desert. Very soon, he found that young man. His escaping speed was very fast. In a short while, he was already very far away. Qin Yun hurriedly chased after him. He wanted to ask this young man about some things so that he could quickly understand the current deity desolate and know where to start searching. That young man was very professional in escaping. Even though he was running, he did not leak any aura. Furthermore, he was wearing an invisibility cloak that allowed him to hide in the desert. If not for Qin Yun's heaven's eyes, he would not have been able to track this young man. The young man was not strong. Otherwise, he would not have escaped in fear. Qin Yun was much stronger than him. Furthermore, he was flying at high speed in the sky, so he could catch up to him in a short while. The young man did not notice Qin Yun flying in the sky. He was still running carefully on the ground. Qin Yun condensed a seal, heavenly rune on his palm. He could use it to seal that young man. He was sure that the young man was a cosmos god and should have escaped with that big ship. After the big ship was destroyed, the young man hid in the container and went deep underground. This way, he would not be discovered by the god's son descendant. Only after the descendant left did the young man come out from the ground. Qin Yun suspected that this young man should be very important to the cosmos gods. Maybe more than 1,000 cosmos gods brought him to escape. Furthermore, this young man had many escaping methods. After getting close to the young man, Qin Yun dived down rapidly. The young man sensed danger approaching. But just as he sensed it, his body seemed to be covered by a transparent net. Qin Yun opened his palm and released that heavenly rune. It turned into a net that covered the young man and sealed him on the ground. Evil insect! I will kill you, Even if I die, I will take you down with me. The youth was holding a red bead in his hand. Upon seeing the pearl, Qin Yun's expression changed drastically. The pearl is a small divine sun core. It was refined using the little divine sun's core. It contained extremely terrifying energy. If it exploded, the commotion would definitely not be small. I'm not a descendant of the divine sun god. Qin Yun held 2 fingers together, ready to use the heaven-severing 9 fingers at any time. Then why did you attack me? The youngster shouted angrily. You were the one who attacked me first. I only asked you what the evil worm was, and you stabbed me with your sword. Qin Yun said with a gentle tone and a smile on his face. If I really wanted to make a move against you, you would already be dead. The young man snorted and shouted, then quickly undo the seal. Qin Yun waved his hand and the heavenly rune character disappeared. The young man was very shocked. He could naturally tell that it was a heavenly rune character, and the technique used was very profound. He had never seen that heavenly rune character before. The poisonous fog that he had released earlier was very powerful. Some experts who were trapped by it might not be able to escape in a short period of time. Furthermore, the young man believed that his whereabouts would never be grasped by others. He had used this method to escape many times. Even the powerful descendants of the divine sun god were unable to see through his invisibility cloak. The youth assessed Qin Yun's strength and determined that he was a mysterious and powerful expert. It would be easy for him to kill him, so struggling was useless. The demonic insects are the descendants of the divine sun god. The youth patted the dust off his body and stared at Qin Yun warily. He could not sense any aura from Qin Yun. In the eyes of the youth, an existence like Qin Yun without any aura should be the weakest human in the divine desolate. Why are they after you? Qin Yun asked again. They want to eat me. If they meet you, they will also hunt you down. The young man looked around and said in a low voice, You are very strong, but if you are surrounded by them, you won't be able to escape. By the way, do you know where the nearest divine court of the myriad worlds is? Qin Yun only wanted to go to the myriad worlds' divine palace. You are from the myriad worlds' divine court? The youth suddenly retreated a few steps and said in fear. Qin Yun just remembered that the myriad worlds' divine court is already controlled by the descendants of the divine sun god. No. I have a debt to settle with the myriad worlds' divine court. Qin Yun laughed. I want to go and find trouble with them. You better not go, you will die. The youth said coldly. Behind the myriad worlds' divine court are the demonic insects. All the people in the myriad worlds' divine court desire to become demonic insects. Qin Yun said, I have been in seclusion for more than 1,000 years. I did not expect that after coming out, I would not recognize this world. Is that so? You have been in seclusion for more than 1,000 years? The youth is somewhat doubtful. Of course it's true, there were not so many divine suns at that time. Qin Yun looked at the sky. The youth saw that Qin Yun's strength is not bad and he did not have any evil intentions, so he wanted to travel with Qin Yun. This way, if he encountered any danger, Qin Yun would be in front of him. I am Su Wanshou, how should I address Big Brother? Qin Yun. Qin Yun said. Big Brother Qin, you should be from the human race. I did not expect the human race to have an expert like you. Su Wanshou said. How about this, I will tell you about the great changes in the past few hundred years. Alright, I don't know where to go now, so I will temporarily go with you. We will talk as we go. Qin Yun said with smile. Soon after, Qin Yun asked Su Wanshou about the matter. The Taisher powers and the 4 great empires are no longer there, they have all merged with the myriad worlds' divine court. Now the ones in charge of the myriad worlds' divine court are the 9 heaven-law spirit and barbarian emperor. The 9 sun sacred ground still exists. Many battles broke out between the strong races inside the sacred ground. The Vermilion Bird Treasure Land and the White Tiger Treasure Land were defeated, and had no choice but to escape from the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. As a result, the Phoenix Kingdom and the Strange Cat Kingdom had no choice but to leave the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. Now, the descendants of the Divine Sun have completely ruled the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. And outside the Sacred Ground, many strong races led by the Heavenly Dragon race suffered many attacks. All of their treasure lands were lost, and they had no choice but to hide. The Divine Moon race also participated in many battles, but they were still unable to suppress the descendants of the Divine Sun. In the end, they were sealed on the Divine Moon, unable to break through the seal and descend into the Heavenly Divine Desolate. The power that is still fighting against the descendants of the Divine Sun is called the Nine Yang Divine Palace. However, it is very well hidden and only operates in secret. When Qin Yun heard that the Nine Yang Divine Palace is still there, he guessed that it is led by the Heavenly Law Spirit who has integrated many Taisha powers. Nine Yang Divine Palace, wait for me. Qin Yun sighed in his heart. He did not expect that he would have to return to this divine palace in the end. Sword Hall Elder Xia Wufeng has been captured by the Myriad World's divine court. Xia Wufeng was once the sword god of the Myriad World's divine court. His strength is very terrifying. Over the years, he has killed many evil gods of the Myriad World's divine court. Unfortunately, he was still captured in the end. I heard that the Myriad World's divine court wants to publicly execute him. Su Wancho sighed and said. Chapter 3385. Qin Yun was not surprised that the Sword Hall Elder of Nine Yang Temple is Xia Wufeng. With Xia Wufeng's attainments in Sword Dao, he was completely qualified to be the Sword Hall Elder and take charge of the entire Sword Hall. Knowing that Xia Wufeng was captured, Qin Yun became extremely anxious. Xia Wufeng has always been very cautious, but he was still captured. This meant that there was a mole in Nine Yang Temple. Furthermore, Xia Wufeng had been captured and was going to be publicly executed in order to lure out the other important figures of the Nine Yang Divine Palace and capture them all in one fell swoop. Xia Wufeng was an important figure of Nine Yang Temple. The other big shots of Nine Yang Temple would most likely rescue him after learning of this news. As long as they prepared an ambush in advance, as long as someone went to rescue Xia Wufeng, they would most likely be captured. Where is the headquarters of Myriad Realms Divine Court? Qin Yun asked. Su Wancho said. Big Brother Qin, are you really going to the headquarters of Myriad Realms Divine Court? I don't dare to go, I'll be dead if I'm discovered. It was not easy for me to escape. I must go. Qin Yun said. I want to see Xia Wufeng being executed. It's easy to see this, I also want to see it. But this is not the headquarters of Myriad Realms Divine Court. It is the Divine Court Heaven City, outside of Nine Yang Sacred Ground. Su Wancho said. There is a Divine Court Heaven City inside the Sacred Ground, but everyone there is a descendant of God Sunday. That's right, if they do it outside, they can easily lure the people of Nine Yang Temple over. Qin Yun nodded. This time, Myriad Realms Divine Court indeed wants to use Xia Wufeng as a bait to capture the big shots of Nine Yang Temple. Sigh, Nine Yang Temple must be very conflicted now. If they save Xia Wufeng, they will definitely suffer great losses. They might even be completely annihilated. If they don't save him, Xia Wufeng will die. Su Wancho sighed. Qin Yun is very curious about Su Wancho's identity. This young man has grasped many escaping techniques as if he has received professional training. Previously, he asked Su Wancho about his position in the Cosmos God race, but Su Wancho avoided it. Qin Yun guessed that Su Wancho must have a very high position in the Cosmos God race, or he might be very important to them. Qin Yun still had a chess piece in the Myriad Realms Divine Court, Luo Ingtian. Luo Ingtian was a special avatar of the Nine Heavens Dharma Spirit, and he had even stepped into the primordial returning realm. He had even secretly broken free from the 9 Heavens Dharma spirit's control and was lurking beside it. Su Wancho had told him about the 9 Heavens Dharma spirit. Originally, the 9 Heavens Dharma spirit was not bad, but it gradually became evil. When it was in charge of the divine court of the myriad realms, it started a few massacres and killed hundreds of millions of people outside the 9 Sun sacred ground. It was said that the 9 Heavens Law Spirit wanted to use 100 million corpses as a sacrifice to cultivate some kind of evil technique. More importantly, it wasn't the descendant of the divine Sun God who asked the 9 Heavens Law Spirit to do this, it was the 9 Heavens Law Spirit who wanted to do this. At most, the descendants of the divine Sun God would not stop the 9 Heavens Law Spirit. Su Wancho, have you heard of the Divine King? Qin Yun asked suddenly. He was now following Su Wancho to the Divine Court's heavenly city. Although Su Wancho had been chatting along the way, he was very vigilant. I've heard of it. What a pitiful person, Su Wancho said. Pathetic. Qin Yun never expected that the youth would give him such an evaluation. When the 9th divine sun was born and the myriad heavens divine desolate changed, he went missing. Later, I found out that he was sealed in the central space of the ancient universe and could never leave. Su Wancho sighed. If this guy had not been trapped by the ancient universe, he would have shone brilliantly in the divine desolate. He might even have been able to resist the divine sun God's descendants and change the course of the divine desolate. Qin Yun did not think so. If he had not cultivated in the universe's core, he would not have been able to resist the rapidly evolving divine sun God's descendants with his foundation. Perhaps the fusion of the 9 Heavens Law Spirit and the Universe Law Spirit would have killed him or even devoured him. I once heard that when the 9th Divine Sun was born, there were a large number of Divine Sun Law Spirits inside it. Those Divine Sun Law Spirits all transformed into humans. What happened to them in the end? Qin Yun could not be certain if this was true or not. It was all told to him by the Lord of the Universe. Back then, the divine sons of the divine Yang Dharma spirits were imprisoned in the heart of the universe. Later, the Dharma spirits escaped with the 9th divine Sunday. In the end, they were all very miserable. They were all devoured by the evil insects. It was this group of fellows that allowed the evil insects to grow stronger and complete their initial evolution. Otherwise, it would not have been possible for the evil insects to suddenly become so powerful and lead so many powerful races in the divine desolate. Speaking of this matter, Su Wancho became very angry. From his point of view, it was all the fault of that group of divine sun law spirit. Why did I hear that at the beginning, it was your universe god race that fused with the divine sun god's descendant? But later on, the divine sun god's descendants gained the upper hand. Qin Yun said, "This? How is this possible? You must have heard nonsense from others." "Oh right, haven't you been in seclusion for more than 1,000 years? How did you know about this?" Su Wancho immediately denied it. Seeing Su Wancho deny it so bluntly, Qin Yun knew that he was feeling guilty. Su Wancho seemed to be afraid that Qin Yun would continue asking about this matter. He increased his running speed and ran in front. Qin Yun only followed behind because Su Wancho did not plan to continue talking to him. However, not long after, Su Wancho suddenly slowed down and let Qin Yun catch up. "Big brother Qin, we have trouble," Su Wancho said in a low voice. "What trouble?" Qin Yun was alarmed. Then, he sensed his surroundings and did not discover any danger. "The evil insects are here, and they are very strong. They are the kind of peak space transformation realm that specializes in assassination. Can you defeat them? If you can't, can you bring me away?" Su Wancho's voice was filled with fear. Qin Yun was secretly surprised. How did Su Wancho sense it? He did not discover anything at all. At this moment, he sensed an aura approaching. It was indeed very strong. Qin Yun was filled with anticipation. After all, the other party was only a peak space transformation realm, while he was a transcendent realm. Space transformation realm and origin realm were on the same level. However, the origin realm's physical body was very strong. If they were on the same level, a space transformation realm would not be a match for an origin realm. Qin Yun was currently in the transcendent realm, which was one realm higher than the origin realm. Of course, Qin Yun would remain vigilant. After all, the Universe Lord had warned him that he was very weak in the divine wilderness. Not long after Qin Yun sensed the energy fluctuation, a person slowly walked over in front of him. This person was dressed in golden armor. He did not leave any footprints on the sand. Behind him, there seemed to be a corona hanging above his head. This person was a handsome man. His skin was as white as jade. Upon closer inspection, there seemed to be golden glowing blood flowing under his skin. Su Wancho, your escape this time has caused the death of hundreds of thousands of people. Do you still intend to continue escaping? Said the man coldly. What? Hundreds of thousands of people? Su Wancho was shocked. In order to find you, I passed by a small city. I happened to be hungry, so I could only eat them, said the man with a smile. It seemed like he did something very normal. Chapter 3386. The people sent by the god Sun descendants are not here to kill Su Wancho but to capture him. Ling Luan, do you think I will obediently go back with you just because you said that? Su Wancho clenched his fists. He was very angry at first, but he quickly calmed down. It could be seen that the matter of hundreds of thousands of people being eaten made Su Wancho very angry. Moreover, they were eaten by Ling Luan. Qin Yun is somewhat surprised. This Su Wancho is a cosmos god, why would he sympathize with humans? In the god Desolate, the number of humans is the highest but they are also the weakest. Most of the strong races do not care about the life and death of humans. Su Wancho, because you ran away many times, tens of thousands of your clansmen died. While chasing you, we also ate millions of humans. Originally, we were too lazy to attack those humans. We didn't even want to leave the Nine-Sun Holy Land, but we had no choice. We were lured out by you. When we saw a human city, we couldn't help but exterminate it. Ling Luan laughed. Qin Yun took a deep breath. He is very angry in his heart. Millions of people died just like that and they were all eaten. These god Sun descendants are indeed no different from evil insects. Qin Yun is considered a human and he is the strongest existence in the human race. It is reasonable for him to stand up for the human race. Su Wancho gritted his teeth and looked at Ling Luan. It can be seen that he is trying his best to suppress the anger in his heart. Let's go. Follow me back. Ling Luan did not look at Qin Yun from the beginning because Qin Yun has the characteristics of the human race. Su Wancho has a good impression of humans. Ling Luan is not surprised that he is together with a human. As long as I am alive, I will definitely escape. I will not let you manipulate me. Su Wancho grunted. A sword suddenly appeared in Ling Luan's hand. She pointed it at Qin Yun and said, Su Wancho, if you agree to come with me, I will let him go today. Otherwise, I'll eat him in front of you. Ling Luan, you. Su Wancho is not sure if Qin Yun can defeat Ling Luan. In his heart, Qin Yun is only a human. No matter how strong he is, he cannot defeat an expert of the god Sun descendants. Ling Luan was a very young powerhouse among the descendants of the divine Sun clan. She was also quite famous in the Nine Sun sacred ground. Qin Yun did not speak. He did not plan to take the initiative to attack. The more the other party ignored him, the more advantageous it was for him. I promise you. Su Wancho looked at Qin Yun, then gritted his teeth and said, Quickly leave. Ling Luan laughed and said, Su Wancho, I didn't negotiate with you, I was just teasing you. You were caught by me and I could have brought you back. Why would I let this person go? Big Brother Qin, run! Su Wancho suddenly shouted. Qin Yun's expression is calm. He has been quietly watching Ling Luan and Su Wancho's conversation from beginning to end. Why aren't you running? Su Wancho shouted anxiously when he saw Qin Yun not moving. Why should I run? I want to go to Divine Court Heaven City. You promised me that you would bring me there. Qin Yun said indifferently. You. Su Wancho began to panic when he saw that Qin Yun was not afraid at all. He hurriedly whispered, Big Brother Qin, this guy is an expert ranked 15th on the 9 Sun Sacred Lands Universe Transformation list. And Qin Yun responded tersely. Ling Luan chuckled and said, Interesting, interesting. A human is not afraid of me at all. It seems like he is a hothead who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Your blood is very beautiful, Qin Yun said with a smile. Ling Luan chuckled and said, Your blood is very tasty, I like to drink human blood. Your blood will definitely look even better when you spit it out. I really want to see you spitting blood, Qin Yun said with a smile. Su Wancho is stunned. This Big Brother Qin is really not afraid of death. He clearly told him that 9 Sun Sacred Land is ranked 15th on the Universe Transformation list. There are many Universe Transformation Realm experts in Divine Desolate. To be ranked 15th in 9 Sun Sacred Land, he is definitely very powerful. You won't be able to see me spitting blood, but I guarantee that you will definitely be able to see yourself spitting blood. Don't close your eyes too quickly later. I will hold your head and let you see your neck spitting blood like a fountain. After Ling Luan finished speaking, she slashed at Qin Yun's neck. The sword's speed is very fast, but it stopped in front of Qin Yun's neck. It was caught by Qin Yun's 2 fingers that emitted white light. This scene caused Su Wancho and Ling Luan to be extremely shocked. If he had directly grabbed it with his hands, they might not be so shocked. However, Qin Yun only used 2 fingers to catch Ling Luan, who is ranked 15th on the Universe Transformation list. Qin Yun slightly frowned, then said with a smile, Not bad, pretty fast. You. Ling Luan's sword was firmly caught by 2 fingers just like that. He let out a deep roar and a strong energy fluctuation erupted from his body, but he was still unable to retract his sword. Qin Yun's other hand also held 2 fingers together and condensed a white beam of light, like a sharp blade condensed from energy. His arm moved and the sharp blade condensed from 2 fingers slashed at Ling Luan's shoulder. Ling Luan's armor was instantly cut and his arm was severed. Golden blood gushed out. Su Wancho was so scared that he took a few steps back. His face was filled with fear. This Big Brother Qin's strength had already exceeded his understanding. From what he knew, there were only a few people in the Divine Wilderness who possessed such strength. He had never seen it before. Qin Yun, who had stepped into the transcendent realm, was so powerful that even the Master of the Universe could not predict it. The Master of the Universe was also watching Qin Yun. He was shocked to see Qin Yun easily defeat a powerful divine sun descendant at the Universe Transformation Realm. He realized that he had underestimated Qin Yun's potential. Qin Yun's realm was created by himself. He didn't even know how far he could grow in the future, let alone others. Who are you? Ling Luan, who had his arm severed, was more shocked than Su Wancho because he knew what this strength meant in the Divine Wilderness. Qin Yun did not answer him. He waved his hand and instantly slashed hundreds of times, splitting Ling Luan's body into pieces. The heaven-severing 9 fingers, heaven-severing finger, aimed to sever the heavens. Therefore, it was not difficult to kill a Universe Transformation Realm Divine Sun Descendant. After Ling Luan's body was destroyed, a powerful soul flew out. It was filled with resentment and roared at Qin Yun, Just you wait. The Divine Wilderness will not allow a human like you to exist. You will definitely die. I will go back now. Ha ha ha. No one can stop the soul of a divine sun descendant from returning home. Just as he finished speaking, Qin Yun's eyes suddenly turned red. It was the red eyes of the red-haired Malheur. He had comprehended this from Malheur. Furthermore, he was currently borrowing Malheur's super-strong mental power. Qin Yun smiled faintly. Then, he circulated the mind crystal moon and produced an extremely strong devouring power in his palm. Just as Ling Luan's soul was about to fly away, it was condensed in Qin Yun's palm and could not escape. Chapter 3387. Qin Yun had researched the soul lost due a long time ago. It was specially used to deal with the souls of divine sun descendants. Although it could not destroy the soul, it could make the soul lose all memory and consciousness. The raw material of the soul lost due came from the heavenly poison divine Sunday. Now that he had the heavenly poison divine sun, and it was especially powerful, it was possible for him to research something more effective in restraining the divine sun descendants. Seeing Ling Luan's soul being captured by Qin Yun, Su Wanshou was scared out of his wits. From his point of view, it was already very inconceivable that Qin Yun could easily defeat Ling Luan, let alone capture the soul of a divine sun descendant. In the divine desolate, everyone knew that the current divine sun descendants were almost invincible existences. Their physical strength came from the cosmos god race, and the strongest part of their body was their soul. In the past few hundred years, there had never been a case of a divine sun descendant's soul being captured. The Nine Yang Temple had once destroyed the body of a divine sun descendant, but they had never captured the soul of a divine sun descendant. Therefore, the divine sun descendants always knew that the Nine Yang Temple was against them. Another point was that the soul of a divine sun descendant could fly very fast. Once it flew out of the body, it could use the fastest speed to return to the myriad realms divine sun land to inform its companions. Then, the descendants of the divine sun in the Nine Sun sacred ground would immediately take action. They would arrive at the scene of the incident as quickly as possible and provide support as quickly as possible. Therefore, it was very stupid to start a war with the descendants of the divine sun because it was very difficult to win. For example, if Ling Luan's soul flew back, as long as the soul devoured enough cosmos god race people, he could quickly condense a body and return to his realm very quickly. Once the soul could not return, Ling Luan could not be reborn. There was a very special suction force in Qin Yun's palm. There was a translucent red whirlpool in his palm. It was the fusion of his and Malheur's mental power. Ling Luan's soul was trembling. He finally felt fear. This feeling was very unfamiliar to him because he had never known what fear was since he was born. Creating fear in others was something he often did, so he had always been curious about what fear felt like. "You want to eat me?" Qin Yun looked at the soul and said with a faint smile, "You don't seem very strong. Why are you so arrogant? I'm much stronger than you. Have you seen how arrogant I am?" Actually, Qin Yun has the capital to be arrogant. Currently, he does not know the situation in the divine desolate. Otherwise, with his God-King style, he would definitely announce his return in a high-profile manner. It was also the Master of the Universe who had repeatedly warned him to keep a low profile. Otherwise, he would easily die. He relied on the divine desolate Nine Yang Dharma spirit and was unable to use the power of the four divine suns. His friends were also weaker than him, so he had to avoid danger as much as possible. "Who are you? It's impossible for someone as strong as you to suddenly appear in the gods desolate. You must have hidden it for many years." Ling Luan's soul spoke. He had gradually calmed down and said, "Join us, the descendants of the God Sun. The position of the divine judge of the myriad realms divine court is yours. I want to try and see if the things I researched back then are still useful." Qin Yun took out a small bottle of soul lost dew. He had once used up all of it, but later on, he produced some more. However, this soul lost due was an old formula and had not been modified. Su Wancho is so scared that he is speechless. A powerful space transformation realm descendant of the Divine Sun is powerless in front of a human. Qin Yun's soul lost due dripped onto Ling Luan's soul. Ling Luan's soul continuously trembled and then gradually calmed down, losing all consciousness. My soul has become much stronger. Just one drop is not enough. I have to improve the formula. Qin Yun's soul lost due can still be used. The soul of this divine sun descendant is very strong and cannot be destroyed in a short period of time. However, Qin Yun thought of a method to deal with this kind of divine sun descendant. It is to put their souls into his mind crystal moon and let it refine them. Just like that, Ling Luan's soul was swallowed by the crystal moon and then began to be refined. Qin Yun can sense that the crystal moon is overflowing with pure energy. The crystal moon can absorb and cultivate by itself. At the same time, it can also strengthen Qin Yun's soul. The strongest thing about the descendants of the Divine Sun is their soul. Qin Yun must cultivate an even stronger soul to be able to contend against the even stronger descendants of the Divine Sun. Let's go. Quickly take me to the Divine Court Heavenly City. Qin Yun patted the dazed Su Wancho. Su Wancho looked at Qin Yun in a daze. He suddenly thought of something. Qin Yun, Divine King. Qin Yun, you are Qin Yun? Su Wancho looked at Qin Yun's handsome, smiling face and suddenly cried out in alarm. I am now Qin Yun. Qin Yun said with a smile. Su Wancho took a deep breath and calmed himself down. When the ninth divine sun appeared, Qin Yun, the divine king, disappeared. After missing this period, many people almost forgot about him. However, there are still a small number of people who engraved the two words, Qin Yun, in their hearts. There are patriarchs of various powerful races in the Divine Desolate, as well as cosmos gods and divine sun descendants. No, you can't be called Qin Yun. It's too easy to guess who you are. Su Wancho hurriedly said, You have to change your name. Then what should I be called? Qin Yun felt that this Su Wancho is quite interesting. Su Yun. Su Wancho said with a smile. Brother Yun, I really didn't expect you to come back from the universe core and become so strong. I broke through after coming back. It's better to go home. Qin Yun said with a smile. He was right to insist on coming back. If he had stayed in the universe core space, who knows when he would have stepped into the transcendent realm. The universe lord also felt emotional. He suddenly felt that Qin Yun was more suited to stay in the Divine Desolate. This land had been nurturing his growth. Brother Yun, are you going to save Xie Wufeng? Su Wancho started running again. Yes. It's best to hurry up, said Qin Yun. You can save Xie Wufeng, but you must not use Qin Yun's identity. Although you are very strong, you better not expose your identity, said Su Wancho. I don't plan to expose myself, but I want to know why you are making such a suggestion, said Qin Yun. After you come back, you can go to the Nine Yang Divine Palace and secretly develop it. Actually, those evil insects don't care much about the Nine Yang Divine Palace. But after they know that you are back, they will definitely do their best to suppress the Nine Yang Divine Palace. With your current strength, you still can't protect the entire Nine Yang Divine Palace. You will cause the Nine Yang Divine Palace to be destroyed, said Su Wancho very seriously. Who the hell are you? That group of people thinks highly of you. Qin Yun has always been curious. He guessed. Are you an important person in the Cosmos God race? Su Wancho didn't answer immediately. He was hesitating if he should tell Qin Yun about his identity. Chapter 3388. Qin Yun was only curious about Su Wancho. He did not need to know, so even if Su Wancho did not say, he would not pursue the matter. How far are we from Heavenly Court City? Qin Yun is now more worried about Xie Wufeng. Xie Wufeng was arrested, and the Nine-Yang Divine Palace must have suffered a great loss in order to save him. If Qin Yun could hurry over and save Xie Wufeng in advance, the Nine-Yang Divine Palace would be able to avoid this loss. He knew the Nine-Yang Palace very well. For the sake of Xie Wufeng, they would definitely save him at all costs. He understood Xie Wufeng better. In order to prevent the Nine-Yang Divine Palace from suffering heavy losses to save him, Xie Wufeng would definitely choose to commit suicide. Based on our current speed, we'll be able to reach there in 2 days. That's assuming that nothing goes wrong. Su Wanchou was in a dilemma, wondering if he should explain his situation to Qin Yun. Too slow. Qin Yun was very anxious at that moment. Big brother Yun, don't worry too much. There were still more than 10 days before Xie Wufeng would be executed. The other side wanted to give the Nine-Yang Divine Palace time to save Xie Wufeng. Only then would they be able to capture the entire Nine-Yang Divine Palace in one fell swoop, so they wouldn't execute Xie Wufeng too quickly. Furthermore, the Divine Court of the Myriad Realms needs enough time to make arrangements. With your strength, as long as you go to the Divine Court's Heaven City, you will be able to rescue Xie Wufeng easily. Su Wanchou could tell that Qin Yun was anxious, so he comforted him. Little Su, with my strength, can I challenge the entire Divine Court of the Myriad Worlds? Qin Yun asked. Su Wanchou jumped in fright and hurriedly said, Big brother Yun, it's best if you don't show off too much now. I still don't know how strong the strongest descendant of the Divine Sun God is. Give me some time and I promise to help you figure it out. In short, the descendants of the Divine Sun now control 9 myriad realms divine suns. The power they can control is very strong. Qin Yun looked at the 9 myriad realms divine suns in the sky. If he could completely control the power of these 9 myriad realms divine suns, he would indeed possess terrifying power. Su Wanchou saw Qin Yun running while looking up at the 9 myriad worlds divine suns and asked curiously, Brother Yun, what are you thinking about? No, I just feel that the current myriad realms divine sun is very unfamiliar, said Qin Yun. In fact, he was thinking about how to destroy the 9 myriad world suns. The descendants of the divine sun were so powerful mainly because they could control these 9 myriad realms divine suns. As long as they destroyed these divine suns, they could weaken the power of the myriad realms divine Sunday. Even if the divine desolate does not have the myriad worlds divine sun, it can still last for a period of time. During this period of time, Qin Yun is confident that he can create a new divine Sunday. From Qin Yun's point of view, the birth process of the 9 myriad worlds divine suns in the sky was too complicated. Therefore, the descendants of the divine suns were able to take advantage of it. Furthermore, the universe Dharma spirits and the 9 suns Dharma spirits had great differences in the process. If Su Wanchou knew what Qin Yun was thinking, he would definitely be scared silly. The destruction of the divine sun was very normal for Qin Yun. He had experienced many lifetimes and had seen the scene of the 9 suns destroying the world many times. Furthermore, the destruction of the 9 suns was mainly to weaken the descendants of the divine sun. However, this time, the divine sun descendant completely controlled the divine sun and did not allow it to self-destruct. Therefore, Qin Yun could only use external forces to destroy the divine sun. The 9 sun world extinguishing scripture that he grasped had a method to destroy the divine sun. However, it required even greater power to support it. Big brother Yun, I'm actually an evil worm too. Su Wanchou, who was leading the way, suddenly opened his mouth. I'm not surprised. Qin Yun indeed guessed Su Wanchou's identity. However, he felt that it was strange because Su Wanchou did not have the aura of a divine sun descendant. My mother is from the universe god race. She gave birth to me after being defiled by the evil worm. Su Wanchou spoke of this matter and became very angry. My mother was later eaten by that evil worm. You are very upright, this is very rare. Rest assured, I will protect you until you grow up. You must personally avenge your mother. Qin Yun sighed. Evil worms can't directly give birth to a body like mine. Their bodies can only be inside the Divine Sun. They need to fuse with our flesh and bones and devour a large amount of us. Only then can their bodies evolve and leave the Divine Sun. My existence is very special. I have a powerful soul like the evil worm, and my body is also very strong. Under the illumination of the sun, my body is very difficult to destroy. It is almost indestructible, Su Wancho said. Qin Yun does not believe it. They have tried to kill me many times, but I am still alive. That is why I can always escape. Moreover, my clansmen hope that I can get rid of the evil worm and let me grow up outside. Su Wancho said again. The evil worm wants to study me because they want to have a body like mine. Or they want to create even more evil worms with a powerful body like mine. Can they create it? Qin Yun asked. I am the only one. Su Wancho shook his head. He felt even more uncomfortable now. Because of this matter, the women of the universe god race suffered all kinds of torture every day, living a life worse than death. Qin Yun can imagine it and can only sigh. Brother Yun, I want to become stronger. As long as I reach peak space transformation realm, with the strength of my body and soul, I can save my clansmen. Su Wancho said. I will help you, but you must promise me that you will protect the Divine Desolate. Qin Yun knew the reason why Su Wancho told him about his past. I will definitely listen to you. From today onwards, you are my big brother. Su Wancho said very excitedly. Wait, don't randomly shout. You still haven't passed my test. Qin Yun said. Let's talk about it after we save Boss Xie. Su Wancho cannot help but quicken his pace. With Qin Yun here, he is not afraid of enemies. Little Su, how can those guys track you? Qin Yun suddenly stopped. Su Wancho also stopped and shook his head. I don't know. Qin Yun thought for a bit and then poured his lawless power into the Divine King Heavenly Seal to protect it from being destroyed by law power. Then he used the Divine King Heavenly Seal to imprint many heaven-concealing rune characters on Su Wancho's body and soul. He suspects that the Divine Sun descendants have a way to sense Su Wancho's soul fluctuation. That is why Ling Luan could track him. Qin Yun is now in a hurry to save Xie Wufeng. He does not want to cause trouble on the way. One day passed. Qin Yun and Su Wancho have already left the desert filled with death energy and entered the lush green mountains. Brother Yun, as long as we pass through this forest, we will be able to see the Divine Court Heavenly City. We must be careful in this forest. Su Wancho said in low voice. What is inside? Qin Yun asked. I don't know, I am afraid there is a trap here. Su Wancho is very vigilant. They are flying in the sky. When the sky is about to brighten, a wave of energy attacked them from the sky ahead. There is a fierce battle ahead. Su Wancho took out a telescope tool and looked at the sky ahead. It is the Phoenix Army. They are being attacked by the Divine Court Army. Su Wancho said in low voice. Phoenix Kingdom also wants to save Xie Wufeng. Chapter 3389. The Phoenix Kingdom was originally in the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land of Nine Sun Holy Land. After the birth of the ninth Divine Sun, the Divine Sun descendants rose to power. The alliance with Qin Yun at the core suffered a blow and had no choice but to leave Nine Sun Holy Land. The Divine Court of Myriad Realms was also cleaned up by the Divine Sun descendants and handed over to the Nine Heavens Law Spirit to manage. Now, the Nine Heavens Law Spirit is the one responsible for Xie Wufeng's plan. The one responsible for setting up the trap to ambush the Nine Sun Divine Palace is also the Nine Heavens Law Spirit's power. According to Su Wancho, there are many experts in the Divine Court of Myriad Realms that grew up from the empires and Taisher powers. The Divine Sun descendants are not in the Divine Court of Myriad Realms. The Divine Sun descendants do not do this kind of hard work. The Divine Court of Myriad Realms is the Divine Sun descendants' hired thugs, their tools. The ones fighting against the Phoenix Army are also the Nine Heavens Law Spirits people. It really is a trap, everyone knows this, why are they not careful? Su Wancho looked at the hundreds of Phoenix Army elites being surrounded and attacked by thousands of Divine Court soldiers. He felt helpless, but at the same time he admired the Phoenix Army. What are their cultivation levels? Qin Yun asked. They just entered the space transformation realm. Without this kind of cultivation, they wouldn't dare to run around. Su Wancho said, especially in this kind of place. Peak Divine Space Realm experts were still the most numerous in the Divine Desolate. However, once they went out, they would be easily killed if they encountered a space transformation realm expert. Therefore, they hid in the safety of large cities and wouldn't run around. I want to save them, Qin Yun said. Sure, but you must be careful, don't expose yourself. Actually, if you didn't tell me your name was Su Dyun, I wouldn't have known that you are Qin Yun. You're too careless in this regard. So what? It's too easy for me to kill you. Qin Yun laughed. He is actually not worried about Su Wancho at all. Even if Su Wancho said it, no one would believe him. It is very difficult to come to Divine Desolate from the universe core space. Even if you come to Divine Desolate, you won't be able to adapt to the environment here. Moreover, you will be restricted by the power of Divine Desolate's laws. The descendants of the Divine Sun clan understood the power of the Divine Desolate laws the best, so they were not afraid of Qin Yun. However, they never expected Qin Yun to step into the Transcendent Realm. This was a realm created by Qin Yun himself. Even the Universe Lord didn't know about it. After Qin Yun stepped into this realm, he was no longer restricted by the laws of the Divine Wilderness. Qin Yun put on a mask and asked, Little Su, do you think I can use Ling Luan's sword? After Ling Luan was killed by Qin Yun, his sword fell into Qin Yun's hands. Ling Luan was a young expert with an extremely high status in the Nine Sun sacred ground. Naturally, the weapon in his hand was not weak. Of course, Su Wancho said, this will make those guys even more afraid of you. They will definitely recognize that it is the evil insect's space transformation divine weapon. Space transformation divine weapon? Qin Yun held Ling Luan's sword in his hand and gently flicked it. Indeed, he could feel that it was pretty good. In the Gods Desolate, it is considered a first-rate divine weapon. There are better divine weapons than this one, but not many. Su Wancho said, Big Brother Yun, after you save those people, don't tell them your identity. If he had to say anything, he could only tell the Phoenix Queen. I got it. You wait for me here. Qin Yun immediately flew towards the battlefield. The elites of the Phoenix Army are all initial stage space transformation realm. The same goes for the Divine Court of Myriad Realms. The Phoenix Army is weak because they are few in number, and they even fell into the trap of the Divine Court of Myriad Realms. However, the Phoenix Army is still very strong. Their equipment is very good, they are wearing thick flame armor. Although it is very cumbersome, it can prevent them from being besieged. In a short while, they were completely routed. The soldiers of the Phoenix Army were all wrapped in layers of armor. Although their expressions could not be seen, they could feel that they were not afraid of death. They did not feel any fear, so it was obvious that they had already thrown caution to the wind before they had even arrived. And this is only to save Xia Wufeng. Therefore, Qin Yun must save these few hundred Phoenix Kingdom soldiers. Qin Yun and the Phoenix Queen can be considered to be very familiar, especially he also knows that there is a Phoenix ancestor inside the Phoenix Queen's soul. He guessed that the Phoenix ancestor might have already separated from the Phoenix Queen's soul. The leader of the Divine Court Army is a mid-stage space transformation realm. Su Wancho just told Qin Yun that there are 2 mid-stage space transformation realm experts in the Divine Court Army, while the Phoenix Army only has one. As long as he kills the 2 mid-stage space transformation realm experts, he will be able to quickly reverse the situation. To Qin Yun, this is a piece of cake. However, he does not plan to kill them just like that. Saving Xie Wufeng is very important, but the Phoenix Queen is not stupid. She will definitely be very careful. Now that the Phoenix Army is being besieged, it is very likely that there is a traitor who leaked their whereabouts. Qin Yun previously thought that there was a traitor in the Nine Yang Temple who betrayed Xie Wufeng and caused him to be captured.